Hey, I'm wearing my shirt too.
Nice.
Which one? The old one or the new one?
New one.
Oh, we both are wearing the old school.
We're wearing the old one.
I don't know why.
nice.
We didn't get the memo.
We just randomly both
Actually,
put them on this morning.
I couldn't tell you if I'm wearing the old one or the new one.
That's more like the Adam I know. Welcome back to the Jack of the Shadows podcast, episode 10. I'm Eric VC, and as always, I'm joined by my favorite hippity and hop, Dave and Adam. Say hello, Dave.
Hello, my name is Hippity.
Say hello, Adam.
Hop, hippity. Oh, I'll be that hop.
Yeah, that's
Boingo,
right.
boingo, baby. I'm going to hop up and just slam it on your face.
Boinky boink.
All right.
Phrasing.
Sure.
Who knows what I'm going to slam on your face.
Okay.
It's gonna be
boy.
slammed, and I'm going to be up there in the air.
For this episode, we deviated from our 6 chapters because we were so close to the end of this book that we're going to wrap up Lord of Chaos. So we read chapters 49 all the way through the epilogue.
The what? The log?
The epilogue.
Epilogue,
Sounded like
baby, epilogue.
epilogue. Effalumps and woozles.
Ashaman kill.
Yeah, you're giving away secrets, Eric.
I'm giving away
Secrets.
death. All right. We'll start the podcast proper with our view from Dragonmount. We'll then talk about our favorite moments of these chapters and what shook your Willow. We'll move on from there to discuss all things Perrin and Wolf and Man before discussing the witches of the Westlands and Aes Aes Baby. We'll talk about the different factions that are popping up amongst our protagonists with Control Freak before heading into talking about our hero and Get Randy. We'll then do a grab bag of that last chapter in Oh Well before we talk through the epilogue and then wrap up with our Coplin of the week and who leveled up.
All right.
It sounds like a mere mouthful.
So let's
The pigeons.
soar on the flames of Doom Eyes Wells to the top of our favorite peak for our view from Dragonmount.
Let's do that.
So
Do my s'mores.
Do my s'mores?
Do my s'mores.
You're
Tastes good.
yeah, okay.
Do my s'mores taste
Tastes like people.
It tastes like death.
Chapter 49, The Mirror of Mists, the Rising Sun rune.
Yeah.
Perrin and Rand discuss Perrin's decision to stay in Caitlin instead of heading to Tyr. When who should appear but our favorite Ogier, Loyal.
Wow. That was
It rhymed.
it was a bit contrived.
Yeah. So we haven't
Contrived.
seen Loyal and I mean, we saw him very, very briefly with Perrin, but we haven't seen him in a long
Dave.
time.
Dave, you sound so disappointed.
Yeah,
by him
Dave's
showing
really
up.
disappointed in the writing here. The contrived writing, which is contrived because it
I
is
like how
written.
it just keeps coming back up though. He's like, oh
Yeah, right.
I just
This
liked-
is bad.
I like not riding
That's
a horse, and
bad.
then I was running.
You did this wrong.
I'm
Then I
highly
was running, and then
disappointed. No, Adam's not talking about that, Eric. Adam's talking about loyal now. He's moved
Yeah.
past the contrived statement.
Yes. See, I got you.
Well, I thought
Adam.
you were talking about Loyal showing up. is
No,
contrived.
Eric was still
He's-
whining and complaining about me.
Loyal showing up is contrived.
Right.
Jordan,
contrived statement were
Jordan
you
contrived to
talking
have
about?
Loyal join them at this key moment.
Oh boy, I was way out of it there.
He really doesn't do
not
much
aligned.
here.
I mean, he's there for comic relief.
He is a little comedic relief.
Rand.
The group starts to talk, and Rand lets Loyal tell Rand tells Loyal that his mother and Elder Hammond had brought Aerith looking for him.
That brings the ears a trembling.
Here's the comedic relief.
They
That
were
sends
almost
Loyal
winking.
into a fit over the marriage
And
that
a frenzy.
this portends. After seeing how tired Loyal looks,
I'm not ready to be married, Perrin.
Rand
He's
thinks that
like, wait, but don't you think she's really good looking?
Although she did have some beautiful eyebrows. Did I say
Look
that
at
out
those
loud?
Ears.
The
Oh,
ears, that's what it was. It was the
Hold on,
ears.
I have to go read a book.
Right, very quietly in my own room.
After seeing how tired Loyal looks, Rand thinks that spending more time in his steading might be beneficial for him and asks him if he won't help Rand put guards at all the way gates. Perrin explodes at this, asking Rand if there's any of his friends he's not willing to use. To which Rand replies he'll use whoever he must and that he is using himself up as well.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, no, there aren't. I'm going to do it.
That calms them down a little bit.
Well, Loyal tries to anyhow.
Yep.
So I don't like to see you two arguing.
Min rushes in to tell Rand that 7 Aes Sedai are on their way to the Grand Hall, and they may be there when Rand arrives. And then Luce Theron starts whispering, "No, no, no!"
That's not a whisper.
It could have been a lot louder.
He's like, no.
Rand asks for his coat, scepter, and horse to be readied as he heads to the Grand Hall. Min discusses how she might help Rand, but Rand informs her she'll stay behind with Loyal and Perrin. Rand makes his way to the hall and is joined by Sulin, Bale, Mullane, Nandera, and 100 Fardar Asmai.
Good people.
Go people. Go people.
Marana leads the contingent of Aes Sedai into the hall. Demira leads the group forward, channeling the Mirror of Mists to make them appear taller.
You think to trick me with the Mirror of Mists.
Demira tells Rand that they'll no longer follow his strictures and will come and go as they please, and that he will show them the respect they deserve. Rand then shatters their illusion and tells them the restrictions stand, and they'll show him the respect the Dragon Reborn deserves.
There's also an important moment that happens in there where Rand is picking up on that something's not right. Like he's like, okay, they said some key things in how they presented this statement to me, because they're here and they're ticked off and they haven't been like this before and they haven't disobeyed me before. So why are they doing it now?
Oh, right, yeah. Well, I mean, right. This whole thing is a total departure of behavior. So all of it's rather strange to him, and it's all a result of the Shido attack on Marana. So.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he never really pursues that line of thought any further with them. He never brings it up. It just...
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
That is true. I didn't actually think about the fact that he didn't bring that up with them.
I wish he had.
Demira leads the group away, and after the Aes Sedai leave, Rand tries to determine what led to this confrontation.
Right.
So then we join Min, who's left Loyal to peek in on Rand's meeting, and then hurries to the Crown of Roses to beat the Aes Sedai back to see if she can smooth things over between the two groups.
Good old Min.
Min's uncertain what's led to this confrontation as well, so she asks Marana's warder, Mahiro, what led to the Aes Sedai's actions. And before Mahiro...
Question...
Mm-hmm.
Have we ever been presented the fact that they know each other before, or is this just...
No, this is really kind of the first
this all gets
encountered of it.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
I mean, he's just like a father figure to her.
Before Mahiro can respond to Min, she sees two new Aes Sedai enter the inn, bringing the total of Aes Sedai there to 13, the amount needed to shield Rand. One of them mentions that Rand should have been collared long ago.
The number 13.
And Min sees something in their auras that terrifies her.
This is yet another, like, Rand doesn't have a conversation with the women to figure out why they're all ticked off. And this is the instance where Min was right on the cusp of finding out that the other girl got stabbed, but no, because these two come in, everything just kind of goes south from here on out. All because of two very important missed conversations.
That's very true.
It's Lemony Snicket's a series of unfortunate events.
Misfortunate and unfortunate. We needed both.
Yes.
Very fortunate.
When one is not enough.
Unfortunate.
It's unfortunate that it's misfortunate. Unfortunate. There's your new word.
Miss?
Marple.
Now that beautiful song's gonna be in my head.
I'm going to start singing.
So then Min runs off to talk to Rand, and we cut to Min and Rand meeting together. Min's told Rand of the 13 Aes Sedai and that she's seen blood in the auras of Karuna and Bera.
Oh, boy.
And Rand ponders, what Min's told him. He determines to head to Cairhien and take his friends with him. He tells Barana to find people and gather them and find all the principals and gather them in Perrin's room. Upon arrival, Rand finds all of the main characters in Camelin gathered together, and he explains that they're all departing for Cairhien. Mistress Harfor arrives with paper, quill, and ink, and Rand let me go back there. Mistress Harfor arrives with the paper, quill, and ink Rand requested, and the group begins to write letters to loved ones and their wards.
A lot of paper.
So
reams.
Rand writes an invitation to Barana to join him with the 6 Aes Sedai in Cairhien, and a warning to Taim to avoid the Aes Sedai. We then cut
Rand is just taking care of business here.
Yeah?
I feel like he is at this point, but
yeah, he's in charge. He knows what he wants to do, and he's going to get everybody in line to kind of follow his needs. We cut to Marana, who's read Rand's letter repeatedly. There's a suggestion that the last 2 lines of the letter are in Luz Theron's hand rather than Rand's, though Marana doesn't know whose hand it is. She just knows it seems to be different. So
that is troublesome.
Yeah.
It's telling.
It's really, I mean, this is the first time that I know of that we know of him taking over Rand. I think we've come close. Like, we've had moments where Rand has wondered, was that me? Was I thinking that? But this seems to be something.
Well, we've had moments
different.
of him grasping for the power without Rand's control.
There are a lot of firsts.
Grasping for the power, right, to control it instead of Rand. Yeah. Yep.
Definitely.
Marana and the embassy discuss their next steps. While Marana thinks the situation over, we learn that the decision to confront Rand was Varen's idea, which I think is really important.
Interesting. Yeah.
Bera and Karuna are the most powerful Aes Sedai in the group and assume control of it, but Marana decides to point out that they are the reasons that Rand has fled to Cairhien, even though it was Varen's idea to do this.
The smack was put down there.
Yeah, I mean, she's quickly disabused of her power, but at least she was trying. She was going down swinging.
Yeah. Well, and she gets herself, she's
still included
in this. She says the purpose of the embassy was to slowly gain Rand's trust so that one of them could replace Moiraine and lead him away from Camelin so that Elaine could ascend to the throne. I think that's important because this is the first time we see the purpose of this embassy expressed. So that was the goal of the embassy, was to give him a new Aes Sedai advisor from Tower 2 and get him out of Camelin and put Elaine on the throne, which clearly they don't realize was also part of Rand's plan. She goes on to say that with Rand and Cairhien, in addition to the Aes Sedai from Tower 1, this group needs Rand now more than Rand needs them, and he may know it. That
was a big statement.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a major table turner. I mean, these events here are a big screw up by this group. Not well thought out at all. Karuna then takes over the embassy and orders the original ambassadors to guide the girls from the 2 rivers back to Saladar, and she agrees to take Marana with the group headed to Cairhien. Which takes us to Chapter 50, Thorns, and we get the Wolf Glyph. The chapter begins with Rand resting in bed shortly after he's arrived in Cairhien. Min sits on the bed with him while he tries to play on the flute Tom gave him so many months ago. Abruptly...
Adorable situation.
Yeah.
Adorable.
Abruptly, some wise ones walk in on him
flute like this?
and are concerned because Rand's knees had been given out on him a little while earlier. The wise ones examine Rand and grill Min on her visions. It seems her ability has raised her to the status something close to the wise ones.
They respect it.
A note arrives from Quarren Sedai of Tower 1 asking after Rand's health and offering healing should he want to come and see her and 2 other Aes Sedai. Rand politely refuses the offer but asks if Gawain might come and visit him. Rand,
you know what? Good on him. Good on Rand.
Yeah, well, he needs to get back in with the possible future in-laws. So,
well,
Rand doesn't hear from Gawain, however, and concludes the young prince must believe the rumors that he murdered Morghese. Quarren sends a letter to Rand every 3 days, but he continues to politely put her off as he waits for the embassy from Tower 1 to arrive with Alana in tow. He makes a stop at his school and is trying to learn something about the seals from Herod Fell, but the man is too distracted by Min. The next day he gives Rand a note. Belief.
He is so distracted by Min, and Min is all about it.
Well,
it's really funny.
Min's a distracting woman, Adam.
It's really, and then he's just like, I'm gonna go fish in the desert.
Right.
He does not go fishing in the desert.
No, I know, but he's just like, I gotta go. I'm all kerbobbled. I need to go out in nature.
Kerflubbled.
Before he does that, though, he gives Rand a note which says, "Belief and order give strength. Have to clear rubble before you can build. We'll explain when see you next."
Why don't you just explain now, bud? Why don't you just let it be? Just give me a little more than that.
So this has something to do with the seals. And there are a couple of people who are trying to figure this out. So Rand is asking Fell, and remember Marana was asking her spy in Camelin. Was it? Yeah, it was Camelin. Before she got stabbed, to give her some texts with some information on the seals. So the fact that everybody knows that there are these seals out there and a couple of them are broken, people are trying to figure out what this means and what, what, if anything, can be done about it. But this line about clearing away the rubble before you can rebuild seems to me to suggest that you need to destroy the seals and then seal the prison back up.
That's dangerous thinking.
Well, I'm right. I mean, who knows if Herod Fell is right, but that seems to be what that's what I'm getting from this suggestion here.
Right, yeah.
Min is spending so much time with the wise ones, it's frustrating Rand. He tries a couple of different methods to conceal Min during his meetings with the Kyrianan nobles, but none of them seem to work very well. Min's viewings are one grim viewing after another. It seems that Marengil is going to die by poison, Colavir will die by hanging, Mylin is going to die by stabbing, and Arakam, Maricon, and Gwayam will all die in battle.
What is that like as a writer? Do you think that he came up with that when he first brought those characters into being? He's like, I know how I'm going to do this. Or do you just go, this is the time to kill them?
No, I think there's probably a plan.
I bet. Yeah, that's crazy.
Min is really pushing the flirtation now, and it seems to be having an effect on the visits from Rand's friends. This is not a result of Min's presence, but Perrin is starting to look fatigued. Fael seems to disapprove of Min, and Min pretends to read every time Fael appears. So there's some... Yeah, Fael can't really get along with any woman, it seems, except her mother.
Who does Fael get along with?
On one of Fael's visits, Min becomes fascinated with Essays on Reason, a book Rand was ready to return to the library because he found it so dull.
I thought that was really funny. She devoured it.
Right. We have no other instances of Min reading other than this. So she's meeting new people and gaining new hobbies in these chapters, apparently.
I love it. She's gonna learn how to really bring an argument from beginning to end.
From here, she's gonna move on to Thus Spake Zarathustra. There's a visit from either that or Infinite Jest.
On Reason.
There's a visit from
that book is
Barrelane.
not on your thing.
Yes, it is. There's a visit from Barrelane where she asks Rand's plans for the nation, and he tells her of his plans for Elaine. She approves of the plan, but doesn't seem to approve of Min. Min also has reservations regarding Barrelane.
I wonder why.
None of these women really get along all that well. Rand meets with Rorik and Barrelane. It seems the Shaido are in Kinslayer's dagger. Savannah was recently amongst the Aiel and Kyrian.
Girl's moving all over the place.
Rand decides to stop sending Aiel to Tyr and hold some back to keep the Shaido out of Cairhien. So the Shaido are just hovering around there in Kinslayer's dagger. Several days pass very pleasantly for Rand, finally. And then we join Perrin.
Enjoy it while it
He
lasts.
loved it. He was like, this is it. I found my spot.
Yeah, he doesn't get many of these days, does he?
He sat down with a good book and some canoodling.
Speaking of tranquility, we join Perrin, who's not tranquil at all. He's having jealousy problems with his wife and Barrelane. In addition to being followed and groomed by Barrelane, Perrin is accosted by Cairhienan nobility who smells strange to him.
Well, he is a survivor, so thank goodness he can make his way through that.
Yes, very, very good. That was a little forced. Can anyone figure out what this Cairhienan smells of that's so strange to Perrin? This Cairhienan noble comes in and he accosts Perrin's nose, but Perrin can't figure out why. I'll take that as a no.
That was strange.
Perrin
I do like the fact that all of this goes through Perrin's nose. It's great. I don't know what that would be though.
Perrin's nose is a major character in
right.
these chapters.
It is. It's great.
He's got quite the
sommelier
schnoz.
shows up. Oh, that's the only part. His mouth needs to get incorporated.
He's a regular Cyrano de Bergerac. I don't know. I have no idea. That's why I was hoping for answers from you guys. Perrin's gotten himself into a predicament between Barrelane and Fael. He tries to avoid Barrelane, but she keeps seeking him out, and Fael becomes more and more frustrated with how Perrin is handling the situation. We then join Rand, who, given his sense of Alana, thinks she's about 10 days away. He plans on meeting with the Tower 1 embassy twice prior to Tower 2's arrival to even things out between the two groups. Rand's plan is to make Tower 2 jealous of Tower 1 and offer Rand their and with the hopes that Tower 2 will offer Rand their full support. So Rand accepts Quarren's invitation finally, which takes us to chapter 51, The Taking, with the Dark Friends glyph.
The Taking. It's not a good start.
Oh, there we go.
Not a good chapter title. It does not portend good things. Rand is being dressed by Sulin while loose Theron prattles away madly in Rand's head. It seems Theron thinks Rand needs to dispatch with Demandred first and then move on to Samael rather than start with Samael, which is Rand's plan. An interesting thought.
Why has that person not been killed yet?
Which one?
Samael.
Yeah,
he's around and about.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, we know where he is. He's sitting waiting in he is in Ilion,
just living it up and loving every minute.
Yeah, loving every minute of it. Rand is waiting on the audience from Quarren and Min, who's been detained by Sorilea. As we've noted, the Wise Ones are taking more and more of her time. Rand is really upset that Min has not appeared. Quarren leads Galena and another Aes Sedai into the room. They're then followed by some serving women who carry two large brass-bound chests.
It is pretty sweet that Rand is really upset that Min is not there.
Well, he wants to read the auras of all of these different Aes Sedai. No,
sure, but it is being presented like how much more and more and more he likes her.
Yes, but I think this is more a practical matter than anything. Well, or no, you could be right. I mean, just the comfort of having her around in such an important meeting. Though, I mean,
he also
needed to hide her. Rand's arms start to tingle, and he reaches for the one power, but is shielded and trapped in air. While he's struggling to understand how 3 or 4 Aes Sedai have managed to shield him, Quarren expresses her disappointment that it's come to this. Galena Casbin then takes over from Quarren, and we learn the other Aes Sedai Rand could not recognize when she entered was Katrina Alruden.
Katrina.
Yes.
The evil one.
So Rand is now trapped and captured by Tower 1 Aes Sedai. It happens very quickly. as do the major actions in these books.
Super quickly.
So because we cut to Bane, who's sitting outside guarding Rand's door a short while later.
By the way, very unexpected from this one. Here.
Yeah.
Super unexpected, especially because what I was saying before about the fact I felt like he was getting everything together.
Oh, this
he's
chapter,
like, you go do this, you go do this.
This chapter pisses me off. This makes me so mad. It's just
as well it should.
It's so the cojones on these Aes Sedai to just, I can't believe that they think that this is okay. So we cut to Chiad or Bane and Chiad. Chiad, they're addressed by the Aes Sedai who are leaving the room, and they tell these two maidens that Rand has simply walked out on the embassy through a gateway, but if he should return, they would be interested in another audience.
Right.
So that's a clever little ruse to buy themselves some time.
It worked too.
So then we jump to Perrin, who's just learned from Nandera that Rand is missing. Nandera seems to think this is simply a matter of course, but she wonders if Perrin knows where Rand is. We then cut to Rand in a basement cage. It seems he was smuggled out of the palace in one of the brass chests. He's brought a meal by Galena and feels his way around the 6 points of power that hold the shield that is keeping him from the one power. And then finally...
So uncomfortable how he's put inside of there.
He's folded up like a meat puppet.
For days.
Well, in this particular moment, he's outside of the chest puppet. And he's in a cage.
Well, now he's in a cage, but before they had him get him out of the tower.
And they're about to put him back into that brass chest. So finally, we cut to Soralia, who is walking by the house Rand is trapped in. She's not surprised to sense channeling in the home because the Aes Sedai have been channeling in there for weeks. Plus, the Wise One is distracted by the fact that Min disappeared shortly after leaving her on the way to see Rand. So now we know that
it's a nice piece of writing right there.
Min has somehow been waylaid. Which takes us to chapter 52, Weaves of the Power.
I am disappointed about the fact that Minj is gone, and we don't encounter it. Like it's, every other point where someone disappears or someone's stabbed or someone's whatever. In this case, it's just and she's gone, and she's only just gone just so you're surprised by the fact that she's gone.
Yeah, I think
he wants lazy.
He wants you to experience. So this the perspective here really shifts away from Rand to the other parties, and Jordan wants you to experience the confusion that they're experiencing, where something has happened. You don't know if it's significant or not. You don't know, the Perrin and the Aiel have no idea where these people are, if they have been kidnapped, if perhaps they've just wandered off. I think that it's purposeful. There's supposed to be confusion for you as a reader.
I feel like it was brought up though, last chapter or the chapter before it, that Rand was getting annoyed that Min was spending so much time with the Wise Ones.
Yeah.
So that was brought up earlier, and then it's brought up again in terms of being like, oh, that's where she must be.
Yes, the groundwork is laid for that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty decent groundwork.
Yep.
But I agree, Dave. I would have liked to have seen it.
Yeah.
Because I want every Min situation possible.
There's that too.
Chapter 52, Weaves of the Power, with the dice glyph. So we know we're getting us some Matt. Matt gambles in the Hall of the Wandering Woman. One of the card players is a Sean Chan. So when Matt curses using the Daughter of Nine Moons, the man chokes on his wine.
I was like, a flying what?
Like, oh, no. Sorry.
I have to leave. My game's done. Bye.
Here's some money.
Maybe he took everybody else's money and they want him to sit back down. On the stairs, the innkeeper looks over the common room next to a pretty young woman with large black twinkling eyes who smiles at Matt.
What a surprise.
It seems that Olver's been jockeying Matt's horse Wind in races and winning.
That is a surprise.
I love Ulver. He's so...
I can't stand Ulver.
Now the boy
Why?
can't get enough of horse racing to Matt's chagrin.
Because Ulver's just, he's an irritant. He's just...
He seems to be picking up Matt's easy ways with women.
That's
as
for
he
sure.
Smiles at Friel.
And Matt's just like, where does he get
yes,
this?
that's Jordan's typical. I love it. I love it. He's like, I can't imagine where he's picking these things up.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Matt goes to his room to change before he heads out, and we have a funny interlude with Narum. The Taveran is frustrated because Elaine and Nynaeve keep slipping out of the castle without his knowledge, and with Tom, Julian, and Vannon on guard, he can't figure out how they're doing it. Despite its reputation, Matt decides to search the Rahad. Vannon protests that Lady Elaine would never find herself in such a place, and Matt rolls his eyes.
I love it. I love how they're all like, they've been subverted by her.
Yep.
It's tragic.
It's so funny.
Rightfully annoyed.
Lady Elaine would never.
Lady Elaine. We cut to Elaine, Nynaeve, and Brigitte, who are searching the Rahad for the bowl. It's been about 11 days since they arrived in Ibu Dar, and we learn that the reason Matt keeps losing them is that Elaine has learned how to disguise the group using the One Power. Van Dien and Adelaus have not had any luck finding the bowl either, and were actually attacked in the Rahad. They had to use the One Power to get rid of the assailants. Our three females witness a knife fight, and before Elaine can heal the loser, a Domani healer steps in and uses the One Power. She can't
this
heal
just
the
seems
man,
like
though.
just the regular everyday thing. It's going to happen on a Tuesday.
Well, it seems normal. It seems normal to the Domani. The woman is clearly a wilder and has barely any power at all, but still Elaine wants to follow her. It takes a word from Brigitte to prevent that. But to your point, Adam, could this woman be one of the runaways that Van Dien and Adelaus came to Ibu Dar to search for? Remember that Elaine doesn't, or it's Nynaeve who doesn't believe their reasoning for one of the reasons why they want to go to Ibu Dar, because they say they're there looking for runaways.
Yeah, and that's interesting. And then we don't.
What do they
do
do if they find them?
They kill them. No, I don't know. I don't know what they do with runaways. Have we? I mean, I would imagine they bring them back to the tower.
I would think they bring them back. Yeah.
Them. Maybe they steal them. I doubt it.
But maybe.
Yeah, I would imagine. I would imagine there's lots of pots and pans scrubbing and spankings by.
Oh yeah, remember that?
Varen.
Remember that? No, not the spanking.
Or Sherry,
I didn't hear the spanking part when I met pots and pans.
remember the spankings? I remember the spankings. Oh, the spankings.
This took a strange turn.
The spankings. The spankings.
They also see Matt and Nalessian, the three do, but are unconcerned because they're in their disguises. Elaine sees another 6-story building she wants to search, and we leave these three to join Egwene and Logain in conversation about Rand's amnesty and Logain's fate.
How well made are these buildings? What are they made out of that they're 6 stories?
Brick? Mortar? I don't know.
You're fascinated by the fact that this world can construct towers of 6 stories or more?
I kind of am.
How tall? What do you think? The White Tower is a 2 flat?
I'm sorry. Just strike this from the record. It's such a
it's got to stay in it because it's so randomly weird.
Bridges.
Yeah.
When people have seen bridges and they've been like, oh, it's the best thing. My mind is being blown.
Well, the White Bridge is like
right.
Huge. It's stories and stories and stories.
And you feel like you're going insane looking at it. Yeah.
But
I guess
right,
that was a stupid thing for me to say.
No. It's quaint. How cute of you to think that these people can't build buildings taller than 6 stories. We then join Egwene and Logain in conversation about Rand's amnesty and Logain's fate. It seems Tower 2 has traveled 200 miles from Saladar at this point, with the band of the Red Hand following at a 10-mile distance, as they were instructed. It's been about 16 days since this group left Saladar. Egwene's army has grown as the Altaran nobles whose fields they're passing through feel they have to choose between these two armies traveling in their countryside and end up choosing the larger army. So Egwene's army is growing, or more specifically, Garth Bryn's army is growing.
But it's Elaine's and Egwene's and Nynaeve's.
It's Egwene's, yeah.
And everyone's.
Egwene's. After allowing her maid to go to bed, Elaine puts herself to sleep and enters Tel'aran'rhiod. No, Egwene puts herself to sleep and enters Tel'aran'rhiod to meet Elaine and Nynaeve.
She has a little moment, though. She's like, this is my spot. I can be alone.
My spot. My comfy spot.
She and Rand, they get their 5 minutes alone.
That's right.
I can't believe these people are getting undressed by other individuals. It's funny to me every time I
Probably
read it.
Why
takes
does
some
that
getting
bother
used
you?
to by them.
It doesn't bother me. I think it's funny that someone else is undressing.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, there's yeah, it takes all of them some getting used to. Especially the Camlin or the Andorans.
I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of buttons up the back at that point, so it might be nice.
That seems like a Nynaeve choice. The group discusses the dangers of searching for the bowl, the use of Mat, and the location of Rand. Elaine asks Egwene to pass word on to Min that she hopes Min likes Aviendha as much as she does. Egwene thinks on Rand's flight to Cairhien and how effectively he may or may not have dealt with Marana. Nynaeve asks Egwene what she knows of Lan, and Egwene confirms the man's alive. Good reveal. Egwene wakes to see Swan sitting near her, and the two discuss a plan in place to allow Loghain to escape, which is significant.
Swan here.
Yep. Why?
Yeah, she's just because Egwene's like, do you think this is a good idea? And Swan's just like, what? Why are you asking me, mother?
Because I ask you everything. That's what you're here for.
That is what she's there for.
You should not be surprised by questions. What? We then cut to Nassau and Myrelle, who are in a tense nighttime conversation about the bonded warder that's been transferred to Myrelle and the current view of such a practice as a crime. So apparently, the transferring of bonds is a crime, or is viewed as a major misdemeanor, let's say, amongst the Aes Sedai. So it seems they're out in the woods waiting for the man who is approaching, and it turns out to be Lan.
This just came out of nowhere.
How would you have preferred it to arrive?
Well, it had to eventually happen.
No, I love it. It's great. I'm just saying, it just came out of nowhere. In the fact that it was just
surprised
discussed,
all of us.
Just in the fact that Nynaeve was like, hey, have you heard any word of Lan?
Right.
And then
there's a little setup. There's a little setup to it. There's a couple of small minor mentionings of Lan, and then we get like these three paragraphs.
They're so strange about it. They're like, this is very bizarre. I don't know if this is cool.
Yeah. I mean, and Lan seems...
And then Lan was just like plowing through people, apparently, to get back to her.
Yeah, he's taking a beeline to her and really not paying attention to where he travels through or who's, between him in this spot.
But he's just beating people down.
Yeah. But he wandered... it's interesting, though, that the transferring of this bond is not cool, because this is something that Moiraine did. So
right,
this is another social more that Moiraine broke, which I think is interesting, because at the time I don't think there was any mention of this not really being cool.
No, I mean, it happened so fast.
No. It doesn't happen. No. Moiraine tells Lan that she's going to do this. She tells him, a couple of chapters in advance. Lan was not happy with it.
No,
he did not think it was a good idea.
It's a really strange choice, though, that it is.
Mirel?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, apparently,
we'll figure this
but
out,
apparently she's somebody that people transfer their warders to because only one of her warders is bonded on her own. All the rest were transferred to her. So she's got
skills.
3 warders now who have been transferred to her, including Lan.
She knows how to handle the death of a sister with her warder, apparently.
She's like the local garage that can just fix any car.
You know what she is? She's the warder whisperer.
That's what she is. And that takes us to chapter 53, the Feast of Lights.
The Feast of Lights.
The rising sun.
This just is a party that
It's
I
Mardi
don't know if
Gras.
I want to be involved with.
It is. Everybody drops their guard and kisses everyone else.
Everyone that drops their shirts, too.
So Perrin moves through the streets of Cairhien in the midst of some debaucherous celebration. He's concerned with where Rand and Min have disappeared to, understandably. It's been 6 days now since Rand and Min have been seen, and Perrin's Ta'veren pull to Rand is becoming an itch under his skin. He's talked to Tower 1.
That was set up pretty well, though, the fact that they shouldn't be that concerned until 6 days. Good job, Robert Jordan.
Well, I mean, Perrin's been kind of looking for Rand. I mean, everybody's been kind of keeping their eye out for him.
Everybody was like, "Oh no, this happens. He just does this every once in a while."
No one's terrified, right? Yeah, no one is blown the warning horn or anything. Perrin has talked to Tower 1 Aes Sedai without any luck, and they left 3 days ago. So the Tower 1 embassy had Rand in Cairhien for 3 days in that house, in that cage. Perrin reflects on the unsuccessful search he's conducted at Rand's school as he enters his room where Fael and Loyal play stones. Loyal and Fael seem to be at odds over Barrelane. The contention seems to have an interesting twist as Perrin has made it obvious that he has no interest in the First of Mean and doesn't seem to be enough for Fael. Sulin enters the room, and then she answers the door for Dobrain. Dobrain has come in to inform Perrin that Lord Marengil has been poisoned and Lord Mylan has died by stabbing, which is unusual during the Festival
coming
of
true.
Lights.
But we saw it happen already.
Min has described these events.
Yep.
Both men were opponents of Lady Colavir, who has hosted a dinner of minor nobles to gather support for the Sun Throne.
I could do this.
I can do this.
I could do this. Look, watch the moves I'm going to make.
While Dobrain tries to explain to Perrin why he has not gone to Rourke or Barrelane with this news, Barrelane quietly enters the room.
How long do you think she was there? Do you think she heard what was said about her?
No, we see her. Well, maybe. I mean, there's a suggestion we kind of see her enter.
Yeah.
Perrin sees her and yells at her to get out.
Notice her entering.
And she drops Rand's belt and sword to the floor. After they realize what they're seeing, Sulin yells, "They've taken him!"
She knows what's up.
Oh, good on you.
She then moves to the door and requests that Luane bring her Cadden sword and scissors. Barrelane says
they've taken my half-brother. What is it? Not half-brother.
Yeah. They've taken my near brother?
Near brother.
Barrelane says that her meetings with Aes Sedai, explaining what she should do after Rand was taken to Tower 1, led her to determine the Aes Sedai considered Rand's departure with them a fait accompli. When they left without him, she grew really suspicious. So she went and searched his rooms and found the belt and the sword. Dobrain then explains that Colavir would only have moved against Marengil and Mylan if she was certain that Rand was out of the way. Barrelane mentions she has proof of Colavir's poisoning of Marengil, but if they don't get Rand back, all of their lives are going to be in danger. Perrin then states he's going after Rand. Loyal immediately says he'll join Perrin. Amis enters the room with Rourke, Saralea, and Nandera, and Perrin asks Rourke if he's willing to move his 100,000 Aiel against the Aes Sedai, and Rourke says the Shaido appear to be moving against Cairhien again, and removing all the Aiel would be dangerous. Amis tells Rourke to explain the full truth to Perrin, at which point Rourke says he can only take maidens and Siswai Aman because the other Aiel will not move against the Aes Sedai. As they discuss the numbers of Rand's rescue team, Soralea says that they shouldn't fear the Aes Sedai and reveals her ability to channel by showing them a flame.
She's ready for it.
It's a great end to that little segment.
Bring it on. I'm ready to fight.
This is the first time that any wise one is revealed to any group that they can channel. So this is a really important moment here. We then cut to Galena Casbin, who's with Min, thinking of how she can use her. It seems Casbin admires what Elida has done, but thinks she can use Min to entrap Elida, and it may allow her to gain control over Alviarin. Casbin walks out of the tent to where they have the chest containing Rand. The group has picked up an additional 33 Aes Sedai, 9 green, 13 red, and 11 white.
That number is just slapped down there.
Don't
that
forget
is so many.
And don't forget that Gawain is leading the younglings with this group.
Yeah, Gawain.
Apparently, when Rand found out they were holding Min, he killed a warder with his own hands, took the man's sword away, and then so badly injured another warder with the sword that the guy Din died under healing.
Good on Rand. Way to go.
Yeah, poor guy Din, though. He's stuck following these Aes Sedai biddings, whether he thinks it's wise or not. And then he gets killed for it.
True.
Galena thinks that they should punish Rand by torturing Min, but because the 2 warders Rand killed belong to Arian, that woman's wishes to see Rand suffer are honored instead. So we cut to Rand's point of view as his chest is open and he's brought out to be tortured by Arian. As Rand is tortured, he says to himself, "This comes of trusting Aes Sedai," as a mantra.
Yeah.
And when Arian is done torturing
go downhill
Rand
from here.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be good for the Aes Sedai. When Arian is done torturing Rand, he looks up to see some wise ones with Savannah among them. Savannah walks towards him. The Shido leader looks at him, encircles his neck with her fingernail, and then tells the Aes Sedai that now each party has kept their part of the bargain.
Yeah, but she's trying to show off the goods.
Yeah.
That's such a horrible thing for me to say.
Rand.
She was trying to show off.
We'll play that over and over for your wife. Don't worry. Rand is lowered.
Delivering the goods, Adam. Delivering the goods.
There you go.
Rand is lowered into the trunk once more, and he fights off Luz Theron in the void. While struggling for control, Rand addresses Theron saying, "Burn you if you'd only work with me just once instead of against me." To which Theron replies, "You work with me."
Huge.
And
huge,
Rand is shocked.
Huge. Oh, boy.
Huge.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get to this at some point, so we'll just gloss over it.
Because Rand wants to rescue Min and avoid reaching Tar Valon, he agrees to work with Voice in Me Head instead. Oh, Voice in Me Head.
Oh, Voice in Me Head. Oh, you're no big deal. I'll just go drink some tea.
What's that, Voice in Me Head? I'm being followed?
No.
No.
Oh, look, this rock. It looks like the other one I collected the other day. I'm going to bring it home.
Because Rand wants to rescue Min and avoid reaching Tar Valon, he agrees to work with Voice in Me Head, a.k.a. Luz Theron. Rand reaches for the 6 soft points of the shield, and Theron informs him the points are soft when the shield is being actively maintained and sharp when the shield is tied off. When the points are sharp, Theron claims with time he can undo the shield. Rand strategizes how to appear defeated so that they'll tie off the shield and then begins laughing madly before we leave him. And go to Galena Casbin, who's thinking on the next part of the agreement with Savannah, the murder of Gawain and the younglings. Galena thinks that with about 20 days left before reaching Tar Valon, she can torture Rand each morning and evening to make him properly subdued for Elida.
What on earth? This person is on board with torture.
Gonna take that many days of torture to subdue Rand? I mean,
they
or
just
do
enjoy
you
it.
Just really like torturing Rand? Yeah, exactly.
Well, she was wanting to torture Min as well.
Yeah, they're
no, she didn't want to torture Min. That was
Oh, I thought it was Galena. Okay.
No.
Oh, I think they all probably enjoy that too.
Well, Galena is the one that wants to torture Min. Yes, it's the other.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah. So then we cut to Savannah, who's walking away from the Aes Sedai camp with her wise ones. She talks to some wise ones who feel they can shield Rand the same way the Aes Sedai have. Savannah was
Did
told.
you see what they were doing? Yes.
Savannah was told by the stranger to use that box that he gave her when Rand was captured.
Box.
It's clearly not a stasis box, then, as I guessed.
No.
What?
But
The
now
heck is this?
that she's seen him, she decides she wants to marry Rand instead and become queen of all Aiel.
What is that?
Can we talk about this box?
Sure.
It's revealed itself before.
Well, she got it
not
from
really.
A
I mean,
Wetlander?
she's been given it.
Right.
They were in Kinslayer's dagger.
They had the meeting with the
and
guy.
She had him. Well, she
Right.
had a private meeting with this guy who just sort of showed up.
Gave her this thing.
Who we suspect is has got to be one of the Forsaken, but we're not. We have no idea who at this point.
And then the murder.
Right. She mentions she wants to collar Rand, and then before the chapter ends, Savannah has the other wise ones vivisect Dessane for dissenting against her constantly and being a nuisance.
I don't even know if it was necessarily that. I think they just needed someone to kill.
No. I mean, well, it mentions right beforehand that this woman was the one person amongst the group,
Right, who wasn't fully supportive.
Right, and we saw her. I mean, she did not think it was cool that Savannah was claiming to be a wise one without having gone to Rhydian.
Yeah.
So, which is not. I mean, Savannah is literally broken every single taboo or not even convention. She's broken every convention she possibly can, and yet these Aiel who value their conventions are somehow clinging to her because of their tribalism. So that takes us to chapter 54, the sending, with the
send us away
with the wolf glyph. So 2 days into the Festival of Lights, and Perrin, Loyal, and Rourke head out after Rand. Perrin hires a ferry to take them across the Algoania.
Let's go.
They meet up with Havien and Dobrain on the other side of the river. The Aes Sedai with Rand are 4 days in front of Perrin. Shortly, they're joined by 200 winged guards of Mayene and 500 armsmen of House Taberwin. Farther on, they're joined by Nandera, Sulin, Amis, and Sorlea, and some other Aiel, including Rourke, who tells Perrin he has 5,000 men from different societies and about 1,000 maidens.
They're ready to do battle.
This is going to be a big battle. He mentions that there could have been more, but he was concerned about what might happen when the Kara Karn's captors when the fact that the Kara Karn was captured becomes public knowledge.
Yeah, the IU will not respond well to that.
Yeah. So
in different ways.
So he keeps it a smaller group to keep it a secret. Amis adds that there are 94 wise ones led by Sorlea, all strong in the one power. By the close of the day, Perrin is confident they'll catch up with the Aes Sedai, but he has no idea what they're going to do once they get there. Perrin lies down and reaches out to the wolves. He finds a group including Two Moons, Wildfire, and Old Deer. They allow him to determine he's about 60 miles behind the Aes Sedai, but they can't help him figure out how many Aes Sedai or how large the Aes Sedai army are.
Just give me that all the time. I just want to eat it with popcorn.
Conversations with wolves. Adam in Conversations with Wolves.
Well, Adam is Perrin, so.
That's right. Halftail asks Perrin why he wants to know these answers, and Perrin tells the wolves of Rand's capture, and the night's silence is broken by the howling of wolves and the words, "We come."
Shadow Killer.
That's right. Shadow Killer.
They have Shadow Killer.
Name. 4 days pass, and Perrin cuts 10 miles off the Aes Sedai lead each day. Several hundred wolves are gathering in the countryside around the Aes Sedai, and during these 4 days, Loyal finally raises the question of how Rand was captured in the first place.
Yeah.
He mentions that based on his studies, it takes 13 Aes Sedai to capture a man who can channel. A lot of power. he suggests perhaps they should be prepared to face 13 Aes Sedai. While talking about marriage with Perrin,
39.
Loyal asks if all women are as jealous as Fael, which causes Perrin to choke on his drink.
It's so annoying.
Wait, you mean other people notice this?
He has just been smelling her being jealous the entire time, and then he's going to respond that way. Come on.
Well, I mean, I mean, he doesn't do it for show. It catches him off guard. He's learned something here.
I hope so.
Perrin thinks on the divisions amongst his ranks: the Aiel versus the Cairhien, the Siswai-Amon versus the Maidens, Sulin versus Nandera, Soralea versus Amis. Sulin and Nandera have seemed to be in a struggle for who should represent the Maidens, with Nandera winning the lead every time. And 2 days into the chase, the two get into a barehanded brawl, with Sulin coming out victorious.
She's throwing fisticuffs.
After the fight, Nandera still takes orders for the Maidens with Rourke, and Sulin is subservient to Nandera. Explain that
I love
one.
it.
Perrin
I
is
just love
confused.
this society.
Soralea and Amis wander into the night and share some water to resolve one of their differences. Halftail informs Perrin that there's a large party to the west chasing the Aes Sedai as well, and Perrin heads out after the group and is joined by the winged guards, Cairhienin, and some maidens led by Sulin. The group that they're looking out for turn out to be Fael's group of 2 Rivers men that Perrin sent from Caemlyn to follow him.
Way to go, Fael.
Danil informs Perrin that they're following after Perrin when they were approached by a group of Aes Sedai who told them that Alana could find Rand, and Danil assumes Perrin will be with Rand, so they follow the Aes Sedai. Perrin sees Varen and Alana, but Bear Harkin is the Aes Sedai who asks him why he is several days away from Rand's location. Perrin explains the situation to the Aes Sedai, and Karuna and Bera try to take command, but Perrin informs them he will be leading the group. The Aes Sedai ride back to Perrin's army at his side, trying to advise him instead. The arrival of the Aes Sedai and the attempt to take command of Perrin's charge made him bristle at the approach of Karuna. Perrin is having a hard time identifying pride as the reason why he dislikes this woman's presence so much. He can't figure out what it is he doesn't like about her. He just knows he doesn't like her, and she keeps trying to take over. 10 days out and half a day from the Aes Sedai holding Rand, Perrin is told by the wolves he has to get to the Aes Sedai now. The wolves say there are many, many people approaching this group. Which takes us to the last chapter.
Moment.
Demise Wells.
Here we go.
With the Aes Sedai glyph.
Here we go.
So, Demise Wells begins with Gawain at the head of the Aes Sedai column, with the rest of his younglings bringing up the rear of the column. He fingers Egwene's letter and thinks on his promise to her not to harm Rand. It seems Rand was in the camp for 4 days before Gawain was made aware that he was a prisoner with them. While Gawain is determined he won't hurt Rand, he's also determined that he's not going to help him either. But he does want to help free Min.
Oh, Gawain.
A rider approaches, and Gawain quickly identifies Benji Dalfor, who's seriously wounded in his saddle. Gawain readies the younglings and stops the wagon train. Galena Casman approaches him and suggests he go himself and see what the Aiel are up to.
Right. Just go check that out.
Yeah,
while you're at it, your sword needs sharpening. Just leave it here.
Right, yeah, exactly. Gawain refuses the offer because it seems that the suggestion that he take a small scout team out to the Shaido has been made several times over the last few days, and Gawain is wise to the Aes Sedai at this point. And that's it. That's all we get of that whole plot that has been sort of fomenting since the beginning of this book. Gawain convinces Galena that they should take this threat seriously. And then we cut to Rand, who's in awful shape. He's covered with welts, cramping, and been forced to curl up in that chest with his own filth for 10 days.
Oh, boy.
The chest's brought to the ground, and he's not let out. so he shouts for freedom after a period of time, but nothing happens. He asks Theron for help, and Theron asks for help on his own. We then shift to Perrin, who crawls over a hilltop to witness the battle between the Shaido and the Aes Sedai. Apparently, that's the large group that's been approaching these people. And here we are. There's a big battle afoot. Battles and fire raging between the Shaido Wise Ones and the Aes Sedai.
This one lasts a bit longer than they usually are wrapped
Well,
up.
we get some of this one, right, which we've gotten none of the other major conflicts in these 6 or 8 chapters up to this point.
True.
The sheer number of Shaidos seem to make their victory inevitable to Perrin's eyes. Karuna, next to Perrin, estimates that she can feel 200 to 300 women channeling, and that the camp of Aes Sedai must have at least 30 Aes Sedai, which means...
That is insane.
Which means there's 270 Shaido channeling.
Yeah.
Outside. Now...
At what point did they recognize... Yeah, I mean...
That's a lot of channeling.
There's some serious power being wielded here.
Do they know they're channeling?
Well, the Aes Sedai can probably figure it out by the flames and lightning that are coming at them. Rourke is there.
I'm saying, do the Shaido know they're channeling?
Yes, they do.
Or do some of them just
they know.
think they're... Okay.
No. Rourke is there with Perrin and estimates that the Aes Sedai's army is somewhere around 40,000. Perrin joins loyal Rourke and
These
Aram.
numbers are insane.
There are a lot of people because that's the Aes Sedai army. Remember, the Shaido army is like 100,000.
Thousands strong.
I think, or no, it's more than that. It's hundreds of thousands because Perrin has 100,000 Aiel.
This is nuts.
Perrin joins loyal Rourke and Aram, and they gather their army and attack. Perrin asks the wolves to attack along with them, and as Perrin cuts through the battle with his axe, because the plan is to get to Rand through this whole war that's going on, and then have Rand make a gateway, and they sneak out of there.
He's doing a good job cutting through things.
So Perrin's cutting his way through the battle with his axe, with his ass.
With his axe, which we
hacking
still
and
don't
hewing.
understand the relationship with.
Hewing and
there's
hacking.
some dark secret there.
His relationship with the axe?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's cutting his way through with the axe. And he sees the Aes Sedai walk into the battle against plan. Next, Perrin notices a bunch of Ashaman entering the battle through gateways.
Shooting
yeah,
fire,
they just walk past, casually walk past him. And then these Ashaman start appearing.
Yeah.
Perrin
cool
reaches a
guy.
point where the Aes Sedai army is so dense he can't move forward any longer and basically fights for his life and is certain he's going to die here. And then we join Rand inside the chest, who slowly feels the knots in his shield being tied off.
Oh.
And he
What's
slowly
happening?
works at the points where the flows of the shield are tied off, and eventually he frees himself.
Poke, poke, poke. Poke, poke, poke.
In freeing
There are
himself,
some people that are distracted right now.
he's crushed 3 of the soft points and apparently stilled 3 Aes Sedai who were holding the shield, and one of them is sitting there next to him screaming.
Screaming.
They are
keep
just
screaming baby
gone.
cakes.
Yeah,
And that one does not stop screaming.
How's
No.
that dessert taste?
that's right.
The just desserts that
Hey,
you
Kobe,
just got.
how does that dessert taste? He sees Min lying near him and for a second thinks she might be dead.
That would not.
But she's not, and
Bode
she
well
helps
for
him
the
toward
world.
the edge of the trees.
I thought for like 3 seconds, maybe he just killed her off here.
Oh,
Oh, wow. Okay.
He
And
alienated her.
I was just preparing myself for being so annoyed.
And then you realize this wasn't Game of Thrones.
Well,
Rand.
Or Ileana.
So
My love,
well, I mean, my favorite character is gone. So
Right. Well, yeah, there is that.
So she helps him toward the edge of the trees, and he sees the battle all around and the Aes Sedai on their horses. Rand identifies Arian and topples her.
Bink.
Plunk! then moves on. At first, he's going to still her, but then he realizes he wants to see her eyes when he does it. So he starts just bonking these women
clubbing them in the head.
With air.
Clubber lanes them.
I just feel like more should have been done.
Next is Katarina.
Maybe it will be Adam.
Whoa.
And then Rand begins toppling more Aes Sedai.
Knocking them over like little pawns on a chessboard.
And he's doing,
clunk,
he's
clunk,
doing it in
clunk.
a way that they wouldn't be, that they wouldn't necessarily know it was.
Yeah, they're all like,
him.
oh, they got us again.
Well, they've got to be
They got us
seeing their
again.
numbers like just getting boffed out of these horses.
I think they're too busy fighting their own battles.
Well,
to-
yeah.
They are. They're fighting their own battles, and then at some point that happens.
But by thinning the number of Aes Sedai, Rand also allows the Shaido to come pouring through the wagon train perimeter that the Aes Sedai have set up against the Native Americans.
Can't
who
have
are
it all.
attacking.
Yeah,
They've
I'm just
circled
very
the wagons like Bill's
Just like the
Mafia.
When you're playing for
Oh my
keeps, you
gosh.
got to just keep doing what you're doing.
No, yeah, where were the Tinkers? Why did they? Why
Right.
are they showing up? Goods for sale.
Some Aiel try to attack
Stolen
Rand.
goods for sale.
This moment is fun. These Shaido just notice Randolph in the by Dumais Wells and go running at him, and then Rand just gets rid of them really easily. And then
He
Gawain
erupts
appears.
the grounds beneath their feet. He just
This is one of the moments I'm the most annoyed at in any moments in the book. And I think it's pretty decent writing, but what happens next is so annoying.
what's that?
Because Gawain offers Min to escape, but she says she'll stay with Rand, and so he rides off. The
Mhm.
Ashaman Gedwin appears and attacks Rand, but Rand subdues him, and Taim appears to correct the error. Taim suggests Rand will forgive his disobeying the command not to attack Aes Sedai and offers to heal Rand. Rand rejects the offer of healing.
No, but Gawain was there. Gawain had this whole attack against him. The ground was rumbling.
I don't remember
After
that.
I don't remember that either.
Oh, that 100% happens.
Okay,
It makes it seem like Rand did it, but I think that it was.
I'm gonna pull up the chapter.
No, because Taim comes up to the
chapter.
dude that, first of all, was trying to hit Rand for some reason. He's like, that's not who you go after. But there was 100% there was an attack that went against Gawain that in Gawain's mind would have made it seem like it felt like Rand did it.
A man in black coat darted in front of Rand, staring after Gawain, and the ground erupted in a gout of fire and earth that toppled half a dozen horses as they reached the wagons. So you're right. So that's interesting.
I don't know. Well, it is interesting. I don't know
It's going to
that.
be set up that Gawain's going to think that Rand actually attacked him after they looked at each other.
That's a it's possible that he could misconstrue that because that. So I'm just
But at that point, Adam, would it
hand.
really make any difference whatsoever for what he already thinks about Rand in reality?
Yes, it
he
would,
said he
because
would
if
just
he-
kill him. But
Yes, it would.
I think it would.
Why would it? He hates Rand to the core of his being. He's going to kill Rand.
No
matter what he
can't.
can do.
He can't kill Rand now. He's promised Egwene.
What did he just say?
He won't. Yeah, I know. That's a
No,
total
he did
contradiction.
just say that he'll see him
he said
die.
that. I
Oh,
know.
he said we will see him die.
But I
Right.
think he said that.
Okay,
in
let
the
me
heat of
rephrase.
passion, because that
He's
is a
going to see
contradiction.
Rand die. He may not personally do it, but he could sure orchestrate it for it to happen.
Well, he definitely wants it to happen.
Absolutely.
But his hands are sort of
I just
tied.
thought it was interesting that this was brought up, that there was an attack that happened on him.
Yeah.
And Rand
This
was
is
standing
twice
there, and
Rand
it
has
looked
gotten
like
attacked
Rand
by
would have done
Ashaman.
it.
Well, the first time was just a verbal assault.
Well, but it's like these people don't know who their leader is.
No, they don't, because he's never there.
Well, he's been there twice. He's been there once when they were all there, unless these are new recruits. But
Well, right. I mean,
they
but,
wouldn't be in this battle
you
if they
know,
were new recruits.
One time is not enough to develop or establish loyalty.
Well, they need
Oh,
a
that's
picture.
a whole other conversation because they're not even
Right.
wearing pins.
Right.
No. Most of them are. The
No.
one who isn't is Taim. Taim is the one who's not wearing. Yeah, no. Rand notices the
He-
pins on all of them except
No,
for
he
would not
notices
wear a
that a
pin.
lot of them aren't wearing both of them.
Well, remember, not everybody gets 2 pins. The Ashaman make a barrier of air around the camp. And the battle in the air dome quickly dies out as the Ashaman just eliminate the Shaido who have found their way into the circle of wagons. Rand's
just absolute brutality here.
Yeah, well, no, the brutality is about to occur.
Well, the brutality has been happening because Perrin at one point is like, well, we'll get there.
Rand is approached by Perrin, Loyal, and Sulin. Perrin explains that much of Rand's support is still outside the barrier, and Rand orders the barrier raised. Taim argues against it and mentions that he's lost 9 men who will be very hard to replace. He's only lost 9 men. They will be hard to replace.
The question is out of how
they're
many.
Powerful.
Well, yeah, but also 9 out of how many have we established?
Yeah, I don't know how many
400,000?
We don't know, but it's probably near 100 would be my guess if he's brought all of them. But we don't know how many of them he's brought. And we don't know the number. Rand tells Taim that he intends to break the Shaido because of Savannah's brazenness. He orders the Ashaman to fight the Shaido. Rand orders his banner held aloft, and then Taim orders the barrier raised 2 spans. Next, Taim orders the Ashaman to kill, and rows of Shaido simply burst apart, one after the other.
Kablamchico.
Open.
I mean,
Ugh.
pretty about as gross as. I mean, I thought that they were gonna like flamethrow at them or maybe balefire, though balefire that many individuals would be a really bad idea. But this is worse.
This is fabulous.
No, this is absolutely
so
fantastic.
gross.
Yeah.
Time after everybody.
But that is what Perrin said to Perrin did say to Rand, hey, you don't know what they've done, because Perrin saw what they were doing.
When?
But he pulls Rand aside
right.
before.
When Perrin is fighting his way to the wagon circle,
Right.
he's seeing them. But I don't know if he's. I mean, maybe they were.
No,
yeah,
that's what he was. Like,
you're
I
right.
mean,
I
that's
think
what
yes,
he's
you're
pulling
right.
him aside,
Yep.
and then we see what happens, and it's like, oh my goodness,
so gross,
Yeah.
so gross. But the and after the sploding, Taim orders a rolling ring of earth and fire be thrown at the Shaido, who are a little farther back and retreating.
This is the end of world stuff that we've heard about throughout all the books. Is men being able to have this power, and it's just going to destroy everything.
Well, I mean, don't forget we had women fighting each other with lightning and fire,
Sure.
not minutes beforehand.
Sure, but that's more
humane.
accepted.
You'd rather burn to death than
men
explode.
do it. The men doing it in this world, because they just think that if men have this power, this is everything that the society, everything that everyone wanted to avoid was having men be able to actually use the power.
Well, it's certainly
And now
going to
it's
be a
being
major
used.
argument against men channeling. It's not going to make channeling men or the Ashaman very popular. That's for sure.
No.
But at the same time, it's going to, I think they're going to get a level of respect that they're due.
Yeah. And
Well,
I think
fear.
the wrong guy's
Yes.
going to get the respect.
The battle ends quickly, and the remaining Shaido flee. Rand looks around and doesn't see Galena Casbin amongst the captured Aes Aes, so she got away. Barris Sedai then approaches Rand and tries to realign the Tower 2 embassy with Rand, rather cunningly, but it doesn't work, and Rand orders she and her group of Aes Sedai to swear fealty to him.
Bow down.
It ends quite
Love it.
differently than
Taim.
she intended.
Taim loved it.
Love it.
And that's
He's like, yeah.
how
there
our
you go.
chapters end. So, Adam, what shook your willow this episode?
Oh, mine is the fact that Rand did not get a chance to confront Alana in this book
Interesting.
at the end of it.
Okay.
That's true.
I was really hoping it was going to happen, because she showed up. He knew that she was going to be there. Everything got settled. She was there at the end. I thought that something would happen, but it did not yet.
There were a lot of things that didn't happen that I expected to
Yes.
happen in this book. Like, remember when I was saying I was sure that Rand was going to go after Samael at the end of this book.
Yeah, no.
And then I think I also said that I was sure that Nynaeve was going to get her block broken by the end of this book.
Oh, absolutely.
None of those things came to pass. So there was a lot of stuff that we were waiting on to happen here that didn't happen because Rand got captured. Instead, which
kind of overrode
we
those
also
other things.
did not see happening, and that occurs very quickly.
Oh boy, yeah, sure does.
So my Willow for this episode was the conversation between Loyal and Perrin, and about marriage, because Loyal's found out that he's being chased after by his mother and his fiance. Let's call Aerith. For lack of a better word. And so he's trying to figure out about marriage, and he's talking to Perrin about marriage, and he tells Perrin that Fael does whatever she tells him.
but he does whatever. Yeah, that's great.
Perrin's like, what?
Right.
Before I think,
but then later on he brings up that she's jealous.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Well, I know it's in the same conversation. I think it's all part of the same. It's all part of Perrin learning small things about his marriage that his subjectivity does not allow him to see on his own. So that was mine. Dave, what was yours?
Oh boy,
mine was that very small moment of, who is this person in the Rahad that was healing or trying to heal the dead person?
No kidding.
Oh, the person we identified as a runaway.
Right. Like, that kind of seems like it's a big deal. Like, it's just this kind of a little throwaway moment, but not. I maybe this is something that's going to come back around, or maybe it's not, but it just seemed very interesting, and everyone respected this person. So this person's known. I wonder if we're going to get more tasty tidbits of that.
I feel like it wouldn't that be the same thing if you came into the Two Rivers and Nynaeve was taking care of someone?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so, but it's just because we know Nynaeve is able to use the power. And that's the case in this instance. And it's funny, I picked this in the midst of all the massive other things that we have going on, but I intentionally...
I agree. It's interesting that...
Well, it's...
And knowing the fact that we had other topic points that we have to talk about, I was trying to pick something that was a little more...
It's strange. I mean, the woman is a little older, or much older.
Yeah.
And there was this mention that these women were coming here to look for these runaways. And nobody, well, I mean, Nynaeve did not buy that as an excuse, and it seemed like a very flimsy excuse because
and yet here we have one.
Right. So clearly there's something going on here with Aes Sedai, and they said runaways. They didn't say just one. They said they were looking for multiple women who had run away from the tower. So there's more than likely more than one, unless this is just a crazy coincidence.
Yeah.
Which, why would you write coincidences?
Right. And it's just interesting that
a lot of manpower put out for chasing after one.
Yeah, it'd be a really weird red herring.
So those girls, the Aes Sedai, even giving a potentially false story, look, there is someone.
Yeah.
That's very
out
true.
of the blue. And
I love that, Dave.
And they do. I mean, Nynaeve is trying to figure out, like, well, I think it's Elaine wants to go after the woman, and but they have bigger fish to fry, so they can't. Which takes us to Wolf and Man.
Shapeshift.
So lot. Remember when we were like, hey, we miss Perrin. What happened to Perrin? We were so glad to get him back.
We
in
get
this
a
book.
whole bunch of Perrin.
We get lots of Perrin here.
Oh my gosh, it's like Yeah, we get Perrin, but it's just with
The first couple of chapters
Agreed.
are Perrin running away from
Warm.
Barrelane.
3-day warm milk.
Yeah, I mean, well, is it Perrin or is it Fael? Like we were starting to get good Fael, and now we're back to not great Fael.
The lemony snickets.
Am I wrong?
Why
Does anybody else disagree with me?
I don't know.
I'm not sure what series of misfortunate.
Yes,
events,
exactly.
Unfortunate
That's
events.
exactly where. Thank you. Why did you not catch that? Yes, I used the exact same application you used it in earlier. Yeah, it is a series of unfortunate events because we liked her before, and now all of a sudden she's a trollop. Like she's so annoying right now.
So
she's anti-trollop. Barrelane is the trollop.
Oh, Barrelane's fantastic.
So the only is the thing that she's upset about the fact that she's not getting like that Perrin isn't like standing up to her,
grabbing her by the scruff of her neck or whatever. We don't know necessarily.
I think that's
the annoyance,
be, though, right?
It's probably,
because
but we're
there's that sense of disappointment, that smell that he gets.
Right.
I think that she's upset that he's like putting Barrelane in her place, but not her.
Right. She's playing games, and it's so freaking annoying. And maybe she doesn't see it that way. It's just her personality. It's the way she was raised.
It's cultural.
Right. But you know what? Your culture can still be freaking annoying.
Loyal at this point for just hanging out and playing
Stones
games
with the enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I don't care if it's the way that you're raised. It's not the right way to treat somebody else.
Well, this Saldaean culture is a little kooky, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That is how it's kooky, and that's how it was presented before. Of like how you're going to be.
We got introduced to it in exactly the right way. Hi, I'm your possible father-in-law, but there are a couple of things that you need to do. Otherwise, I have to kill you here.
Yeah.
Let me introduce you to your mother-in-law.
It's
Smack, smack.
That, like,
what was that
he had to
noise?
stand up to her mom, and then now he's standing up to this other woman the way that she wants him standing up to her. I think that's all it is.
So thumbs
really
up or thumbs
annoying.
down on Saldaean culture moving forward?
I don't know that I even understand it.
I mean, yes,
do.
I think that's part of the. I think I do, but I get yes. It is very upside down.
Well, if you're buying into it, that's fine. I just think that Perrin is a different.
Right.
We'll see. It
Right.
just doesn't seem
Trying to marry
good,
into
because
that
other people
culture
are
sounds
questioning-
very
other people are
challenging.
questioning Fael as well, so I'm just wondering what's going on.
I don't know that anybody's questioning her. I think they're just right. Yeah. Right.
No,
They're pointing out
Elaine
how
was being
problematic
like,
she is.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Then
She's not
when
popular.
Min is like that, so I don't know.
She's not popular.
None of us like her.
Perrin, I mean,
did for
no,
2
not
moments.
really. Right. Yes. But then, I mean, the same could be said about Nynaeve. So that ship is slowly coming
You
back
take that
around. Be careful what you say, Adam. You don't know who your Coplin of this book is.
I know that Min has. I'm sorry. I know that Nynaeve has much more to offer at this point than Fael ever has.
Well, things can change.
Yeah, we'll see.
They've changed before.
Speaking of change, it's funny that in the midst, so Perrin has changed horses, right? He's been given a new horse because he gave Stepper to Will or Daniel and the Two Rivers men that they rejoin. But in the midst of tracking down this army and preparing for battle, one of Perrin's major concerns is what to name his new horse. We get like we get like several sentences of Perrin going, "Oh, well, that's a good. Nah, I don't like that name so much. Oh, he does this. This is a good. I don't like that name so much either. But I need a name for this horse."
I love the fact you're bringing this up because I have no memory of it.
I think he lands on. Oh no! When
is this happening?
This is happening in chapter 54. Does that make you feel better?
No, I get where it is. I can place where it's happening. I understand that, but it does seem like a very Perrin thing to do.
Well, it was. Yeah, I mean, it seems like a very Two Rivers thing to do, like naming their horse. Or it's just horse culture. Like these people, the name of a horse seems to be important to them. I mean, people name their. Well,
he was also really happy when he found his horse again, and then he was like, "Oh, but I can keep this other one too."
Yes, because I'm a lord now, and there are certain advantages to being a lord. Oh, now all of a sudden it's okay.
There's some advantages, but it also sucks to be you, man.
Yeah. Well, then you deserve some advantages. You need some perks.
If she could just tell me one word. What is that word?
The bird.
So while Loyal finally points out that it takes 13 Aes Sedai to sever a man from the one power and shield him, Perrin never questions how exactly the Aes Sedai are holding Rand. He knows how powerful, amazingly powerful his friend is, and never stops to think, how did this happen?
He doesn't care.
It kind of makes sense, though. I mean, he hasn't been...
But couldn't it have an impact on what you're about to face? Shouldn't it kind of matter? Because it could have an impact on what you're running into. I just thought it was funny. No one bothers to sit and go. No one questions it until Loyal, the book reader, is like, we keep saying that there are 6 of these women, but I don't think that's how it works.
How many times has Perrin been in a battle with a bunch of Aes Sedai?
How many times? To determine how powerful they are?
Yeah, just to actually understand what it would be like. I don't think it's that many that he's seen.
But why I'm not connecting the dots here. Why does his understanding of how powerful they are in battle have to do with how Rand was captured?
That doesn't even get into his mind. All he's doing is going after his friend.
Well, right, but I mean, they're like taking. He doesn't know what they're going to do once they get there. So clearly, they're in a quandary.
No, he doesn't. That's clear when he's just running into it.
Well, right. Well, so I mean, at that point, they do know what they're going to do. But even he admits to himself that battle plan is really flimsy. I mean, basically, they're just throwing themselves at something so that they can say that they tried their best and die.
We did it,
but
we didn't.
Which is like all they can do. And so because of that, he's totally unaware that the number of Aes Sedai have grown. It's funny that when Perrin is reflecting on how rare his Wolfman condition is.
He has the wolves, Eric.
That he recalls meeting people whose run-in with wolfmen led them to fear going out at night. Remember this? Like he's thinking back on... Yeah. He's thinking back on the other people that are like him that he's experienced, and he can only recall a group of people who say that they've run into somebody that's like this, and what it's led them to do is be terrified to go out at night, and they keep trying to feed him garlic.
Just not.
So Jordan is bringing in traditional horror elements now into this.
I met Robbie.
That might be a cultural thing.
I met Robbie, that wolf guy. We hung out a bunch.
It's funny though that like none of them like try to like give him a silver dagger or something. Like that's the only thing that's missed here in these horror tropes.
Yeah, or a silver axe.
Well, other people have the silver dagger. It's just wedding tropes.
Right. Well, he just like suddenly he notices that people are wearing silver around him all the time,
and they all stink.
Any other Perrin grab bag items you guys want to throw in here?
I mean, I don't know how he deals with it. I don't know how he deals with Fael. He's incredibly patient. And
he's not well.
I mean, I think he's doing well. He hasn't. From her standpoint,
doing
right?
The right thing.
Right.
He is not. Doing
he's not
what
Spike
she
Lee.
wants, apparently.
Yeah,
and he doesn't get that.
No.
I mean, he's being a perfect gentleman,
right?
And very
which is not what she wants.
And a very polite man. So
she don't like a perfect gentleman,
right?
No,
Eric, it's what you brought up long ago. She wants the guy that lost control of his axe that's flying around the room.
Right.
Her just banging on the door, trying to rip
She
it
wants
open.
her sword in the stone moment.
She wants that guy.
Bibbity bobbity.
Let's
boom.
move on. I mean, there's a lot of Aes Sedai here. We're chasing Aes Sedai. We've got Aes Sedai chasing Aes Sedai. We've got Aes Sedai plotting with Rand. Aes Sedai standing up to Rand. Aes Sedai bowing down to Rand. The very first thing, though, that, and I mentioned this before, is so it was Varen's idea that the Camelin Aes Sedai stand up to Rand.
Yes.
What
Apparently.
What did Varen stand to gain by
clue.
ruining this embassy and having Rand flee? Or, I mean,
maybe she just didn't like the embassy. Maybe it was less about having Rand flee and just the fact that she didn't like what they were trying to do in general. Maybe she wanted Rand to have his autonomy and just didn't like the way that Tower 2 was going about things, perhaps?
Can we agree that there's no way that Varen thought that this was going to end well? I think that's an important point first, because if you disagree with that, then her purpose is...
Define end well. She might have a different idea of what end well means.
No. What is the goal of the embassy? About Rand? The goal of the embassy is
to bring him under thumb.
Well, no. It actually wasn't. The goal of the embassy was to slowly sidle up to him and give him an advisor and then get him out of Camelin.
Right, but the embassy also wanted him to be
So you've come to the conclusion that he's not going crazy, that he is in fact dealing with a reincarnated mentality.
I think you can kind of read between the lines. They're not the Tower 1 who clearly just wanted to, have him literally on a leash, but at the same time,
I mean, however you want to describe it. The goal is to regain some power in the relationship.
Intimidate the other person, yeah.
Right? So I don't think there's any way that Varen... Because remember, Varen has a lot of experience with Rand.
Yeah.
Of everybody that's there. They don't... By the way, none of them know this.
Right. Well, Alana does.
Alana does, right. But she's not really part of the conversation. So Varen knows Rand. I don't think that there's any way that she recommended these women go in and do this without full knowledge that it would not go well for them. So my guess is that she's trying to sabotage the embassy.
Right.
So
that's what I'm saying.
So you're agreeing with that.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's all I'm saying. We have to start there, because if you disagree, if you think that she thinks that she's giving them sound advice in order to help them regain some control of the relationship, then
no, she's got her own plan. What that plan exactly is, I don't know.
Why do you think she would be trying to sabotage it, though? I agree with you with what you're saying.
That's what we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly she doesn't want the Tower 2 planting somebody with Rand. And she doesn't want them having a relationship with Rand on their terms.
Right. I think she wants it on Rand's terms. Why that is, I don't know.
That would be interesting. Or, I mean, because the other option is that she wants them on her terms.
That's read a lot and whatnot. I would like that. I don't know. She's so confusing to me. I don't know whether or not to be on her side.
I think she's supposed to be an
right.
enigma.
You're supposed to be, wrapped in a riddle.
But this is just another case of it. I mean, she's becoming a puppet master.
Yeah.
And I think she's been presented as one for some time now, even from the first moment that she sort of insinuated herself into Swan and Moiraine's confidences. And this is just another interesting note because the disclosure that it was her idea is really just mentioned in passing. It's not like the subject of a paragraph or anything.
Yeah.
So Marana believes in chapter 49.
So you think she knew that it was not going to end well?
I think that given her experience with Rand and her understanding of his Andorran stubbornness, I think she was more than aware that he would react the way he did. Marana believes that what happens to the embassy is a greater indication of the lack of structure and leadership of Tower 2. She thinks that it is a demonstration of some of the problems that Tower 2 has because when she last was there, they had no unifying leader. Is she right? Does Tower 2 have some political problems?
Well, yeah, I think we know that Ramonda and Lelaine are doing whatever it is they're doing. They're both warring factions, and they're behind Egwene, but only by sufferance, I think. Like, we both know they both wanted to be in charge, but they couldn't make it happen, so they threw in with Egwene only so that they weren't with each other. That to me is problematic. But I also think,
and then you've got, don't forget that you also have back in Saladar, or they're not in Saladar any longer, but back with Tower 2, you've got the faction that Sheriam is a part of. So you've got a couple of
she's somewhere in the middle, yeah.
You've got a couple of different moving parts, and this is what Marana is pointing to, is that there are all of these different warring factions who are trying to gain control of these let's not call them runaways because that'll get confusing, but these separatists, and she's saying everybody's operating for their own self-interest and for their own purposes, and this is what comes of that. Is she right?
I think she doesn't know enough about Egwene, I think, and there hasn't been enough time.
She knows nothing about that situation.
Right. So I think, she's going off on the old assumption of who was running things, and they didn't have a concrete leader before. So what she's saying makes perfect sense. Now, however, she's not seeing what's being put into place while she's not there, and I think that's going to make a big difference.
The interesting thing is that haven't Aes Sedai kind of always operated at a certain level in their own self-interest?
I'm sure. I think you would have to do that in order to become one.
I mean, can't that be said about any political body whatsoever?
Sure.
Well,
that's not really uncommon at all.
But that's not what I'm asking. I mean, many political bodies don't function very well. So
this one doesn't.
I mean, it doesn't, and yet it does.
She seems to be suggesting that they need an Amyrlin,
right? Which they've got.
Well, she doesn't know.
Right, I know, but my point behind that is she's suggesting something I think that they all knew. She's suggesting something that they all knew they needed. She's just behind the eight ball.
Well, except for the fact that the Amyrlin, the reason that they chose the Amyrlin that they have is so that a certain group of them could manipulate that Amyrlin.
Yeah, well, that's not going to work well for them.
So, I mean,
hopefully
did they,
not.
from their standpoint, did that really solve their problem? Does that solve their problem?
I don't think
it does. Well, no. Because the other thing that we know is that the person that they put in charge is not going to operate the way that they anticipate that
I think it's going to solve their problem in the way that they didn't think it, like not in the way they intended. It's going to solve their problem because she's going to solve the problem for them.
So then that's the other question is can Egwene, if we agree that the reason that this embassy fails is because they're all squabbling over who's going to lead it, and there is no clear leader because Marana is supposed to be the leader, and then the other Aes Sedai just show up, and then you've got Varen thrown into the mix. So
like
if there were a clear leader of the Aes Sedai who the leader of the embassy could point to and say, I'm here and I speak for this individual, would that have solved the problem?
Why do we automatically assume that the embassy has failed?
What?
Well, you're saying the embassy has failed. Why do you think the embassy has actually failed? They went and rescued Rand.
Because now they are all sworn to Rand.
Okay, but that once again, those two things can still work together.
Would you say that the people that sent
I literally just
Marana,
did say.
would you say that the people that sent Marana out to Rand would see this as a success? Okay, all right.
My point is this. The mission is a success by the definition that you laid out earlier. You laid out the plots of what you thought the mission was supposed to be. And by those exact terms of what you laid out, the mission has been a success. You're automatically saying you think it's failed, but I don't think it has. Whether or not the intenders of who set out the mission, whether or not they thought it was going to go a certain way, what they wanted was XYZ. And I think XYZ has been met because here they are. Whether they're sworn to Rand or not doesn't mean that the tower doesn't have a connection to Rand. That's what they wanted. It may not be the connection that they thought it was going to be, but it is a connection nonetheless.
But is it the connection they want?
Probably not. No, but
Okay.
that's not.
How is there a connection?
I'm not disagreeing. We are
not.
not disagreeing with each other. You're just looking at it from a different perspective. I'm simply trying to look at it from the perspective of the embassy themselves. That's all.
Well, the embassy themselves, I mean, and that's part of the thing is the embassy that itself doesn't really, and that's what What's-Her-Face said, when she said it isn't just dissolved, it doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist anymore only from the standpoint of the quote-unquote rules and guidelines that it was set up to begin with. But what's the result is, I mean, I suppose it's Machiavellian, I suppose, but the result is the fact that it's still there. They still have it. The mode and method may have changed along the way to get to what they want, but they still have a connection to Rand. If you're swearing loyalty to someone, okay, maybe you're going to do what they say, but that is a connection nonetheless.
Yeah, but it's a difference between being a vassal and being a partner, which is a radical difference.
That's true, but do you not think it's going to be better than what Tower Number 1 has? 1,000%.
Well, Adam, you were going to say something because I'm going to steer this I'm going to take this conversation in a slightly different direction. So I don't want to.
No, we can. I was just gonna. We can move on.
I'm not moving on because all I was going to say is don't forget also that while Rand is in the chest, he doubles down on the fact that he will never trust Aes Sedai again.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
He's going to have to trust someone.
That he says never again, never again, never again. So there's been this. I feel like there's been this separation in the relationship of him and Egwene for quite some time now, and now.
Right now he's doubling down on it. Yeah, which is. I mean, can anyone see that ending well? Especially, can anyone see that ending well? Especially when he's got a tie to Alana. No, this is not going to go well. And that's going to be by his own doing. He's just casting wide aspersions on anyone who can channel that's a female who's an Aes Sedai. They're all going to be bad. Don't trust them. Yeah, how do you think that's going to turn out?
Well, but at the same time, you can understand why a guy who is thrown into a chest for 10 days might be a little bit jaded.
I mean, yeah, but once again, consider the fact that it was the Red Aja. That's their job. Who were they sent by? What
No. Wasn't the Red Aja? They
were under the rulership and leadership of the Red Aja. That's who was controlling that group.
The Red Aja.
Well, but there were more than Reds there.
There were absolutely there were more than Reds there, but they were under the leadership of the Red, who was under the leadership of a Red, who is the Amerlin.
Yeah. I mean, good luck convincing somebody that's been tortured.
We're not going to be. I mean, but then again, that's
these are all
when you start casting blanket statements, it never works out well.
But this is a product of what happens when somebody does something rash like this, which is throw somebody in a chest for 10 days
and beat them mercilessly.
Yeah, repeatedly, twice a day. It's going to ruin it for everyone. Speaking of the Red Aja, we get some inklings here that Galena Casban is actually not red but black, because she starts thinking of how she might be able to use Min in order to get control over Katerina Alruden, who we know is Black Aja.
But they might not know that each other is, because of that separation of not everyone knows who everyone is type of thing.
I suppose yes, that is possible. And then in which case, then maybe she's not black, and maybe she just views, but she's a white. Oh, that's right. That's why I thought of this, because Katrina is not red. She's white. So the only reason why this woman would want the upper hand on another sister would be because they were in a separate hierarchy.
Wait, Katerina
in the black
Alruden?
hierarchy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, not Katerina. Alviarin. Thank you.
No, yeah, Alviarin's the white, and then there's the whole goofy, all these Ajas can't trust the other Aja, and
So here's the quote. Here's the quotation. What knowledge was in the girl's head? Perhaps Elida would not have her right away. Properly used in the tower, the girl might enable Galena to net Elida like a swallow. For all of Alviarin, Elida had become one of those strong, capable Amerlins who took every rein firmly into her hands. Caging her would surely weaken Alviarin. Properly used now, ellipses.
Yeah,
so
I don't. But
she has
Katerina's
plans.
red, and
This is why I'm saying I think that what we've learned is that Galena is black, because they're not of the same Aja, ostensibly.
But she wants to go after the Amerlin, who's red also.
No, well, right. She would like to be able to get a little bit of control, right? And that's another reason why I think that she might be black. Now, remember, she's
or for
the
blackmail
head,
purposes.
She's the head of the Red Aja,
which what's her face? I mean, is going to know as the Amerlin,
right? Elida will know that.
Well, do the Amerlins know the head of every?
Well, no, but being red, she would know who the head of her Aja was.
Yes, agreed.
So I think
why would they not know the head of everyone? The Amerlins
they
don't?
keep that stuff secret.
The Ajas keep it secret from the other Ajas who their heads are.
Yeah. Okay.
So I thought that was interesting. I think we'll have to keep our eyes on Galena, and she's gone now.
Right. Yeah.
She
unfortunately,
disappeared.
man, I was really hoping they would get her.
And then the other thing that I noticed, we have another moment where we get the reinforcement of the taboo of stilling when one of the Aes Sedai ran his still during his bid for freedom is laid alongside one of the captured Aes Sedai.
Yeah, they're all like,
captured
she's got
Aes
cooties.
Sedai just pukes.
Right.
It's turns and pukes. She can't stand the sight of the stilled woman.
Maybe it just terrifies them so, though. There's also that element.
Rough. That stilled woman just kept screaming and
horrified of the fact that this could happen to them, and then they see it happen in reality, and it's like too much for them to handle.
Yeah, it could be.
Don't worry,
Could
it can be healed now.
Well, they don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know that. And I don't.
I don't
see
want them to
Nynaeve
know that.
healing those women
Right,
anytime
right.
soon.
Me either.
No.
Some other things that need to be healed. We've got a lot of different divisions amongst our people here. So let's move on to Control Freak.
One last thing
okay.
while we're talking about Aes Sedai. I loved the moment when Rand's mind rapist, whatever we want to call her, the green that bonded him, Alana. I love that moment when she stood up, like to the party, and they eventually got her to kind of be quiet. But when they were like talking about potentially like shifting his bond over or whatever, she was like having none of it, and she was super protective of Rand and like their relationship or whatever. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, it bodes well for that relationship. That at least she's, she seems to have some interest in his well-being.
I keep hoping
beyond
something
her own self-interest.
Yeah, I keep hoping something redemptive will come out of that. And for me, that was a little bit of it.
Yeah, yes, that is a light in what is otherwise a very dark situation.
I just wanted some sort of confrontation.
I know you did.
All right, let's move on to Control Freaks. So we've got we've got a lot of different competing factions here. We've got Aes Sedai versus Aes Sedai. We've got Aiel versus Aiel. We've got factions within the Aiel. We've got Tower 1 against Tower 2. We've got Savannah and the Shaido versus the Aiel. We've got Perrin versus his wife. We've got Fael versus Barrelane. The incident between Sulin and Andara, and Soralea and Amis. Am I missing any? Can you think of any other people who are on this same team, even who are fighting with each other?
I think that Matt is annoyed with Elaine, but that's not really happening here.
Yeah, sure, but that is another one.
With Elaine.
That is
Elaine and Nynaeve are always at each other's throats.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And I mean, even Matt and Egwene, and then you've got
Elaine and Nynaeve against Van Dien and Adelius.
Yep. Yeah, and you have Egwene versus Sheriam, and the different factions that she's dealing with. So all of these different
Halima's
individuals
running around rampant. She's just there.
Amongst all of them,
right?
Yeah. Causing problems amongst the camp. Yep.
Yeah. Flaunting that booty around, dancing with people.
Right. Popping buttons on her shirt.
Right. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Rand, I mean, so what this is the Lord of Chaos effect, isn't it? I mean, this
or is that just people being people?
Well, I mean, this whole book. We're at a point in this story where where Rand is trying to unite, right? Rand is trying to unite the entire continent and get them behind him so that he can go and
grumpy, angry way of doing
fight the Dark One.
He sure was trying, though,
and he was having some success. Like he moved into Tyr and was able to deal with some of those lords and kind of move guys, men and women who were looking to undermine him out of the country.
The minute he leaves, though, it all goes to hell.
Well, no. When he was in Cairhien, it was still working okay. And then he jumps from Cairhien, and then he conquers Cairhien, and then he conquers Caemlyn.
Yeah, but look what's happening in Cairhien.
Right. So this is you're jumping in front of me. Right. So things are going well. Like he's got the Aiel, he's got these 3 different nations, and things are going okay, and we're headed in the right direction. And this whole book is showing how the foundation is crumbling, like you just described.
He's got Min.
Right. Min joined him. Perrin came back. Perrin's got the whole 2 rivers behind him, and now things start falling. This whole book is things falling apart. Is the Lord of Chaos ruling amongst the
Hacienda
allies, and the glue is unbonding. Nothing is holding. Nobody, everybody is sort of falling back on their own self-purposes rather than uniting together against the enemy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And it is sort of a story element, but like this whole book has just been like, a fox in the hen house, and one sure thing. And I mean, even the good things like Egwene becoming the Amerlin is still like slightly problematic. She's not really getting along all that great with Matt. And now it doesn't look like Rand is going to be all that fond of her. So even like that great thing that seemed to be, two people who used to be pseudo betrothed seemed like a pretty good match, and now even that's been destroyed. So where are we going with these next couple of books? I mean, is each book just an elaboration of how another one of these stitches becomes popped, or are we going to work back toward unification of this group again.
The group being the core group, you mean, from
the group being the continent of the Westlands,
okay. I thought you meant
coming together.
The group originally from.
Well, that's part of it, though. It's a microcosm of the macrocosm of the continent. Let's do a little get Randy here.
I feel like I need to offer an apology about it.
About Rand?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I thought that he was like mostly going crazy, I think. For a lot of times, and now it just seems like Dave was right about the fact that no, it's another human being inside of him, or a spirit.
So you've come to the conclusion that he's not going crazy, that he is in fact dealing with a reincarnated mentality.
I think that he is dealing with a reincarnated mentality.
I think he's dealing with
that's going to help with his.
I think it's a separate soul
general,
inside of him, but.
Well, I mean, however you want to describe it.
Yeah. I think they're two different things.
I just want to recognize I might have been wrong.
Okay. It takes a big man to do that, Adam. And you are a big man.
I mean, the fact that
Yeah, I mean that obviously can lend you toward going crazy
right,
because you have someone else living in there. But this isn't a completely different entity. This is
that could do a number on a person for sure.
Yeah, we move more and more into Hamlet territory here, where it's like, is he crazy?
Right.
Is he going crazy because the voice in his head is crazy? Is it a separate voice that's in his head? Is it a separate entity, and yet is he still going crazy? So. Where are we on the Rand crazy spectrum at this point, with 1 being Rand is not crazy, or 0 being Rand is not crazy, and 10 being Rand is psychotic?
I think it's probably down to like a 1.
You think? Oh wow, okay, all right. I'd put him more like a 4, but yeah, not crazy.
I think not great. I think because now he's realizing, oh, this is something different. I can understand why I wasn't able to control this. But
yeah, and now they're in a buddy cop movie.
They are in a buddy cop movie.
Yeah. They're pairing up together, the old guy and the young buck, and they're gonna make stuff happen.
I still got to be concerned about it. He still has to be concerned about it. I'm very interested to see where it's going to go in the next book, how he's going to deal with it.
How much longer do you think it is before Lews Theron starts going, I'm too old for this?
He's kind of been saying that for a while.
Oh, Elena, I'm too old for this. Every time I try to get out, they pull me back in.
I can't deal with 3 Aes Sedai at the same time.
He can deal with 3 Aes Sedai. It's
more than that.
The 13 or the 12 that were the problem.
Oh, he was worried about 3 being there for. He was worried about 3.
He was worried about more than 3, right? He was worried about more than 3.
Yeah.
So Rand, not so crazy for you anymore.
Not so crazy, but still not comfortable with the fact that there's someone else that's inside of him that he has to be concerned about that's going to reach out for Saidin.
Inside of you.
Inside.
It's Sarah Marshall.
I have no idea what that is.
That's the song it's the song that
Inside of you.
Yes, it's Russell Brand. It's the song that Russell
with
Brand
his creepy
sings
dances doing at the same
retreat.
time.
Oh, yes. Okay.
That's what Lews Theron is singing now to himself.
Right. Let's hope not. That's yet another song that makes one want to take a bath.
Very much. Well, Rand certainly needs to take a bath after he's been inside of that chest for 10 days.
Though I would say that boy. I think Lews Theron could become a formidable ally.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he has been to this point. Like the buddy cop movie is no joke. Like these guys are gonna pair up and wreck stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as is evidenced by what we witnessed in this book, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here. So, is Rand Is Rand partially responsible for the way that he ends up here with the way that he treated the Aes Sedai and sort of isolated them and created antagonists out of them? Does he bear any responsibility at all in the way that they are choosing to treat him?
These are different Aes Sedai.
The Tower 1 Aes Sedai.
Yeah, they are. I think the responsibility that he bears is that he kind of let his guard down.
So he disobeyed one of the tenets that Moiraine set out for him.
But if he obeyed that 100%, though, he wouldn't I don't know if he wouldn't talk to anyone.
I mean, let's not forget that it's his outrage at Alana and Varen and Marana and those Aes Sedai in Camelin that led to him fleeing and ending up here. Now, they came in and stormed in and acted all, high and mighty, and he got upset with that. But somebody here needs to demonstrate some restraint. Some of these important political figures need to act like an adult at some point.
Well, he didn't. There was no way he was going to know that. There was no way for him to suspect that when they captured him, all those chicks were Aes Sedai. I mean, there was no.
No. No, I'm thinking more of the series of events that led up to this, as opposed to what's actually happened from.
I think he was easier on the Tower people than he was on the ones in Camelin.
He absolutely was, because he was trying to put
and
them
they're
on
the ones that treated him worse.
Footing. Right. Yes. So this is what I'm saying is why he's partially responsible, because he welcomed these women in to try to balance the scales between them and Tower 1 as a way
So you think he should have been harder on him?
No, I think he was deliberately using Tower 1 as a foil for Tower 2, and that was foolish. He was playing with fire.
Okay.
If he had recognized that Tower 2 was and that group headed by, well, maybe not, he's not aware that Egwene is the Amerlin yet of Tower 2.
No.
But he is aware that that is three friend, well, the two of his hometown friends, and then Elaine, he's well aware that they're involved with Tower 2. So of the two groups, you would have thought that there was an opportunity for him to show some.
Yeah, but they didn't approach. They certainly didn't approach him like.
No, they were totally out of line. But
almost every time too.
He could have taken the higher. I'm saying he could have acted like somebody who had a little more emotional maturity and taken the higher road.
Yeah.
What do you think the higher road would?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that would be.
Nah, I mean, it's just, hey, let's revisit these rules here. I set down some rules for you.
You mean that last conversation?
You're acting like children here, coming into me and trying to show some sort of demonstration of power. This is nonsense. You're supposed to be the most important people in this world. It's time for you to start acting that way and work with me rather than trying to control me.
When has Rand ever done that?
No, right. No, he hasn't. He hasn't done it. And
so I think I get where you're going, but I think in that situation it would be too much to expect him to do so, especially considering the fact that, first and foremost, he was trying to figure out why are they doing this. Like, they came in and he was picking up these clues on the things they said.
Yeah, they set him on the back foot.
Right. And then he's got Theron screaming in his head. And then he's got, he's trying to puzzle that out. They're trying to intimidate him. He breaks their thing with the Mist of Mirrors. It's just so much going on at one time. I don't think he's...
And this is one of Jordan's points here, is that
emotionally mature enough yet.
Nope. I mean, look, women, we've got Aes Sedai who are couple of 100 years old, maybe 100 years old plus, who
not doing it well.
Also not acting with any maturity.
No, the fact that they even use that, the fact that they made themselves bigger is just ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, they were trying to intimidate him.
Yeah,
and we're saying maturity. What we really mean here is some sort of emotional control and allowing, the logical side of your brain to rule the emotional side of your brain and not make decisions based on your pride. and sort of realize the end goal here, which is that we're heading toward a battle with ultimate evil. We all need to work together. Maybe trying to wrest control of that process for ourselves is a selfish move, and maybe examine why we think we're the ones who are best situated to do this, and and really consider whether or not we're just doing this out of pride, or if we're actually doing this or self-interest, or if we're doing this for the ultimate goal, which is to survive, right, and win.
I think that's asking a lot out of them.
I don't think it's asking a lot out
much.
of women who are 110 years old.
No, you wouldn't think so. But they think that they're the ones that are in control of everything, and that their way goes.
Right. Yes, because they're just used to, because that's been the status quo for so long, which, I mean, I get, but at a certain point, you need to demonstrate that you're thinking through these things, that rather than, it just seems that the ultimate goal for them is that they remain the most important political entity on the continent.
Absolutely.
That seems more important than actually being victorious during Armageddon.
I don't think that
that's problematic. I agree.
Yeah, super.
I agree. They do not recognize that there might be a difference there, and that would be the thing that I would say would be the first thing to consider is it possible that there is a difference?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you can't reach the same conclusion that no, there isn't, but they haven't even considered that possibility, right?
No, it doesn't seem like it.
Right. And I'm putting the responsibility on these women more than Rand, because Rand is 21 years old or thereabouts. These women have been around for a century, some a little bit less. I mean, when we're talking about Swan and Moiraine and that group, they haven't been around for quite that long. They're probably more like in their 40s or 50s.
Some of them are not around anymore.
Right, some of them are not. Adam, your tears are blurring the camera. I can't see so well. I can't see you.
Just remember.
But there are women that are in this group who are considerably older, and should know better. But maybe
sometimes you think that age you should know better, but sometimes it just makes you more curmudgeon-y and set in your own ways.
Sure. Yeah, you can definitely just sort of crystallize in whatever ignorant opinion you had, much earlier in your emotional development.
I mean, there is no turning back from this now, though.
Nope.
The chance was lost.
Let's hold that thought. So chapter 53, Perrin can't take any more Aiel against the Aes Sedai because of what Rand revealed to the Aiel. So Perrin talks to Rorik and wants to take, all of, or as many of the Aiel as he can to go and get Rand. And he's told he can't because you have this huge group of Aiel who don't want to go and combat Aes Sedai. And the reason for that is because of what Rand revealed to them at the Cold Rocks Cave. Is that the
Cold Rocks Hold?
Cold Rocks Hold. Thank you. So we sort of come full circle here with Rand's, breaking of the Aes Sedai Rand's breaking of the Aiel and some of the problems now it's caused. I think it's interesting that this has become an area of conflict in the plot, right? Because Perrin has access to several 100,000 Aiel, and he could just go in there and just throw all those Aiel against the Aes Sedai, but he can't because of this situation. And in fact, like mostly of what he takes is the Siswai Aman, the people who are sworn to Rand.
So what are those Aiel going to do? Are they just sitting back there, just hanging out now?
Well, remember, he has to hold some of them back in Cairhien because because originally they weren't sure if the large group of Shaido coming out of Kinslayer's dagger were headed towards Cairhien or not. Now, it turns out they weren't. They were all headed to try to capture Rand from the Aes Sedai. But, Perrin and Rorik didn't know that. So Rorik wisely hold some of the Aiel back in Cairhien. But then even if he'd wanted to send out more, he couldn't, because you have a bunch of Aiel who just weren't going to go out and fight Aes Sedai, or might have had a major psychic snap, right? And we would have seen a serious fracture of the Aiel.
I'm glad that was brought up again. It's nice that it's a reminder of how serious this is to them. It's what they were. It's their whole personality that was.
These are very serious people.
Yes.
Most of their humor is very, very dark and involves violence.
That is true.
They're not a jocular group per se. They do enjoy some good sexist humor, both male and female on occasion. But even that typically involves violence or a misunderstanding of violence.
At least they're consistent with each
Maiden's
other.
Kits.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Rorik seems fun to hang out with. If you're
I just
a capable
feel like
person.
He's not going to be the jester in the group. Right. Yeah. In chapter 55, while in the chest, Rand has gained the ability to actually have conversations with Lews Therin and learned how to wall him off. So, like we were talking about, Rand and his insanity, he has learned how to quadrant Lews Therin off a little bit here. So that's a huge development, being able to kind of keep him away in a corner and shut him up.
How do you think that happened?
I think it's with the acceptance that he is a separate entity, as opposed to trying to figure out I think Rand has reached the point where he's sort of realized, okay, there's some sort of supernatural thing going on with me. I have this separate entity. I'm not going crazy. I think the first step is to realize he's not going insane, which had to be a concern for him, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's been brought up before, that he's been thinking about that he was going crazy.
Along with everybody else around him.
Right.
Okay, namely Matt. Man, how great it must be to have a friend who's always checking on you whether or not you've lost your grip on reality. What a great pal.
Hey, it looks like you didn't like those mashed potatoes, Rand. You doing all right?
You're muttering to yourself, buddy. Are you going totally insane? Are you going to self-immolate now?
You're doing all right.
He's going to explode.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Scanners. I think we have scanners here.
Yeah, it's a nice power if he can do it safely and he can move him to the side, and he can do that without having to struggle that hard.
Look here, shut up, you. He pulls a Peter on him.
It just opens up another door. He's like, go into the quiet room.
Yeah.
I put some books in there, and there's some real soft pillows.
Nothing good happens in the quiet place, but we get your drift.
Yeah, the quiet room, nothing good happens in that. Well, fine. He goes into the chocolate cake powder room.
He goes into right.
or the Dole Whip room.
The green room.
Dave would like the Cool Whip room.
The Cool Whip room. Throws him into a big room of Cool Whip. Poof.
I'd be okay with this.
Here are 3 spoons and some graham crackers.
So one of the reasons why Rand is able to escape here, I mean, the main reason, right, is because the Ashaman sort of come to the rescue here. And Rand does not know many of these men.
What just happened to Eric's voice?
Yeah.
That's what you want to talk about?
You sounded very romantic there.
Okay. All right. Keep riffing on that. How many minutes of content do you think we can get out of that?
Oh,
probably
good
5.
Okay. Yeah, Rand doesn't know any of these Ashaman. Does that concern anyone else?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
go on.
There's a lot of power being coalesced, let's say, behind his back, and that's also partially on him. I get he's a busy guy, but he's just kind of like, oh, it's Mazrim Taim. It's fine. You know, he's fine. He didn't try to take over the world before. He won't try to do it again. He seems completely on the up and up and not shifty whatsoever.
So many freedoms.
Other than the Aes Sedai, after what we've witnessed, and even including the Aes Sedai, is there a more powerful weapon of war on this continent than these guys?
The Forsaken. That's it.
Okay, right. Yes. Thank you. That's an important group to remember.
Right.
But even I mean, we
know of. No.
I mean,
And
Rance,
who knows what
maybe,
Rance just left these people to somebody he doesn't trust,
and they're getting bigger and bigger.
They're getting more and more powerful. Yeah, right. And they're slowly growing in size.
Now the interesting thing is,
slowly
they do come to rescue him. So Taim is still. He could have just left him hung out to dry, but he didn't. So that's an interesting thing to think about.
Yes, it is.
Why did he do? We obviously don't trust Taim, but.
Well, do we now? He comes
I don't know.
to rescue a friend. This was if he was a dark friend,
little more.
This is his best opportunity to just be like, "Hey, dude, I tried, but you told me not to mess with Aes Sedai, so I didn't.
And you
died. I'm sorry.
I didn't hear about it. It was too late.
Right.
But he doesn't.
This is a supreme opportunity to just let Rand die and take over.
He does disobey,
but he apologizes for it.
He apologizes. We don't know how he found out about it. But he found out about it.
I'm wondering about that.
He has his own.
How does he know
they're
there?
Well, it is
clearly he's got his own eyes and ears. Yeah,
it is. Well, and it is happening in the area. He's there. There's a huge group of Aes Sedai, a huge group of Aiel, two huge groups of Aiel,
and he has people traveling back and forth trying to gather folk.
Yeah, well, right, and he's got his own Ashaman that are probably that can use gateways and travel all sorts of different places. So for them to gather intelligence about large troop movements in the area shouldn't be that difficult.
So how long has this school been around for?
The Black Tower?
Yeah.
I don't know. How long is this book?
2 weeks.
Okay. Well then, the Black Tower's been around for a little more than that.
That's crazy, the amount of power that is discovered in these people.
Yeah, they're
they're men. They can use. It seems like the men have access to the more destructive powers of the one power. Like
that makes sense.
Fire and earth. Because if we remember from when Egwene and Elaine were chasing the Seanchan and Falma and even Nynaeve, like they talked about the fact that women weren't as strong in earth and fire as men were, but we find out that Egwene still can use earth and fire, and so can Nynaeve.
Right.
But the men do seem to have access, and Rand said, what I want them trained in is weaponry. I want them to learn how to use the one power as a weapon, and Taim seems to be really eager to train men in that mode, so there you go.
Yeah, but it just happened so quickly. It's absolutely bonkers.
So there's this whole terrorist organization now that Rand really doesn't have control over. It's all under one of his henchmen.
Yeah, clearly, because they're not wearing his pins.
Right. And that's something strange.
They are wearing his pins. There's one person who's not wearing his pins. That's it.
No, they talked about how he noticed that a bunch of them were not wearing his. They were wearing
No, they're all they remark on the fact that they all have that some of them have not achieved the dragon pin, that most of them have the sword pin, the soldier pin. Taim is the only one who is it's Taim who's notable because he has refused to wear any of the pins. But all the rest of them are wearing pins of one kind or another.
I think the other one, I think everybody else is proud of them. And Taim is not because of what it signifies.
Apparently heard something wrong then.
Yeah, probably. Well, no.
That would make sense. And it doesn't bug me that much that Taim's not wearing it. It's not like...
It doesn't? What is it a symbol
Not really,
of?
Because... He seems to be clearly what he is already. It goes hand in hand with what he's doing, I feel like.
It does, and that's concern. It's just a reinforcement of the fact that he really, in every way he can, is trying to ignore Rand's authority.
Yep.
That's not good.
Yeah, but he's being upfront about it.
What? I'm not sure that mitigates anything. It's only good if Rand recognizes it and puts the man in his place, which we have not seen any evidence of.
How Rand hasn't recognized it. That doesn't make any sense to me. He has to have recognized that.
I think he's just choosing. I think he seems to be picking his battles, right?
Yes. It's very strange.
So do we all then think that this is a battle that is going to come at some point, just not now?
I sure hope so.
Absolutely. I think it is. I think Taim maybe he had to go there to show Rand that he's going to help him out, but also show his folk, look at how powerful I am. I came here to save the dragon.
I mean, is there anybody who's like, who's like, hey, that Taim? At the end of the book, there wasn't any communication of anybody noting Taim.
Other
the only
than
one
the
who
people
notes
that
him
he's
is Rand.
training.
Well, okay,
that's
right.
what I'm talking
yes.
about. I'm talking
yes.
about them.
Yes, but
and
I mean,
they're the ones that are.
They've been training underneath
powerful.
him for weeks and months now. So I mean, this battle doesn't. The battle itself, I suppose the battle itself can reinforce stuff, but I don't think. The funny thing is, like, he comes to Rand's rescue, and none of us seem to feel any better about him at all.
I feel slightly better. Not much, but slightly, just in the fact that, like I said, he did show up. He could have found 1,000,001 ways to not, and had an excuse for it, but
yeah,
he's there.
Yeah, he rescues Rand. Why would he do that unless he was on his side? What does he benefit from letting him from coming to his aid?
No clue.
Unless Rand Rand can help him.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure Rand can, but I still think it's what I still think part of it is what I said, just to show like, hey, I'm the one coming here to save this guy.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a self-effacing thing. I don't know.
Well, not self-effacing.
No, yeah.
No.
Aggrandizing.
It does. You're right. I get what you're saying now. Yes, it
Look at
he
me.
rescued.
I
yes.
saved Rand.
Yeah, absolutely. In the eyes of the Ashaman, he is the one who had to come to save Rand. Yep. So that certainly would raise his esteem in their eyes, you would think. Yep. Okay, I get that. I get what you're saying. Rand notices that the Tower 2 embassy has grown to 9 when he ordered only 6 to follow him. So despite the fact that they came as part of his rescue mission, he's still found a way to be irritated with these.
I would be. How many times has this happened? Is this the second time? Third?
Second.
It's
the second time that this group has, chosen to disobey one of his edicts. But you would think that he would be looking for a way to align himself with one of these Aes Sedai groups as opposed to isolating both of them.
Oh, I think he's done with them.
Oh, He's clear. Well,
done with whom?
The Aes Sedai.
I think he's just like he keeps talking about never trusting the Aes Sedai again and never again.
Well, he's making him swear fealty to him at the end of the book, so obviously he's got some use for him.
Don't forget that at the end of this book, he makes them.
That's true.
He's done with them as equals. That's what he's. That's how he's done with them. Does anybody see that as being a problem?
Wait, what part of it?
The fact that he will not treat Aes Sedai as equals moving forward, or at least it appears that way.
We've already seen.
Well, maybe now he'll finally follow what Moraine said. I don't know.
What? Not to trust them?
Yeah. Now he'll actually not do it.
Well, then if he's not going to trust them, what's the point of swearing them, having them swear?
Because at least he can keep them under thumb.
Keep an eye on them,
and he can now have the Aiel watch them.
But if he's going to use them, he's going to have to trust them. You can't.
He's using Taim, and he doesn't trust him.
Well, what's the value in that?
I don't know, but he saved his life, so obviously there's a pretty good value in it.
What's the value in not trusting somebody and still using them? I mean,
I mean, you can trust a sword, but a sword is going to sometimes break.
Often.
Yeah, I don't. Then
I mean, weapons aren't always reliable. They're reliable to the point to become unreliable, but you still got to use them.
Yeah, if you're using something, then I think that says that you have a certain amount of faith in it. If you didn't have any faith in the thing, then you wouldn't use it.
I think you have faith in something until it proves that you can't, I suppose.
Well, no, but that's not true because, I mean, that may be true, but either he trusts these Aes Sedai or he doesn't. I think he
trusts that they can.
I think he trusts them once he has them swear fealty to him. I think that allows him to trust that that's the way that he is going to get to the point where he trusts them. How far? I don't know.
How can you trust an Aes Sedai again after Alana?
Well, right. I mean, I think the difference is, Alana has the upper hand on him, whereas if he makes these women swear fealty to him, I think he must feel he has the upper hand on them because they're his vassal.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure he thinks that he has the upper hand. Also, I think that he can trust that they're going to accomplish things that need to take place because that's what they're good at. I don't know if he necessarily. I don't know. This is such a tough situation.
So I mean, but what it boils down to is he's going to have to trust these women in certain instances. He may not trust them in with everything, but he's going to put them in situations where he is going to have to trust that they're going to do what he asks them to do. I think.
Yep. You would think.
But this is the only situation under which that can occur when they've essentially put themselves under his command.
I mean, I will say one thing, that if they're not Black Aja, they can't lie. And so if they're sworn to fealty, they're going to have to follow that. Yes,
I think that's one of the things he's counting on. I think that's what he's counting on, and his own ability to see through when they are trying to obfuscate.
But I do think he's also going to stick them under the wise ones. And as we've learned from other Aes Sedai around, wise ones doesn't really go well for them.
It does not.
It doesn't go well for the Aes Sedai?
Correct. The wise ones are strict taskmasters.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's
I'd be interested in seeing that, though, because up to this point, they've only interacted with each other in the dream world, and probably for...
They thought Egwene was an Aes Sedai. They interacted with
that's
Moiraine also.
That's one young woman.
Moiraine.
This is... Yeah, and they brought Moiraine in and treated her as an equal.
Yeah, but they also admonished her, too. They didn't just treat her with kid gloves.
At the outset.
At first,
well,
yes.
I think that was a sign of respect.
I think it was also a sign of distrust. They didn't trust her enough to know, and then once she proved herself to them, then she was led into their graces. That's kind of the way they are with everybody.
Right, yeah, that's just the way they treat people.
But realize the game has now complete everything every interaction you've seen with Aes Sedai and the Wise Ones before now is going to be completely out the window because they attacked Rand, and that's their leader. That's their Kara Karn.
Yep. Yeah.
Everything's going to be different going forward.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how those two factions treat each other. So let's talk about the last chapter here in Oh Well. Do any of you feel like we've experienced anything quite like this in any of the other books and the way that they've ended?
I feel like the closest thing that we can think of is when they were storming the tier, how things really escalated in the what it's called, the Fortress Stone of Tyr. Thank you. I feel these two are kind of similar in the fact that a whole bunch of things were happening at the same time. You had the girls in there and Matt coming to rescue them, and Rand was, scaling the wall, and the Aiel all of a sudden appeared, and there was just all of a sudden, all this craziness going on. That's the closest thing I can think of to compare to this.
That's certainly true. That ending had a lot of complexity, in addition to the fact that you had Rand and Moiraine fighting two Forsaken back to back. But that was battle against what everybody in this world would recognize as evil. This is supposedly battle between the good guys. This is like a civil war.
The good guy. Well, the Shaido are not the good guys.
No, and neither is Tower 1.
No, but no one really knows that.
Right, exactly.
But then again, do you here's where I have to wonder. Next we see Elida. Did she order them to beat him? Or are these the rogue Reds, who a couple of whom we suspect are Black Aja, if we don't flat out know are. I fully anticipate some heads are going to roll, proverbial, if not literally, when Elida finds out about this.
Like, well, that's a given at this point because they failed.
Well, not just that they failed, but how it's going to look.
Right.
I mean, this is going to get out there.
That's different than the execution, which is what your initial question.
Right. I think they're both connected together because that's the way she is to everything. She's perception, and then she's failure. You know, if you fail her, that's one thing, and then what everybody else thinks about her is tied into it all together. But
the execution of this fits in with Elida's MO for me.
I don't know that. Like, I don't know that she ordered that. I don't know that she didn't order that.
Adam, do you think it's possible that that the way that Rand is treated is a result of this group of Aes Sedai and how they chose to treat Rand versus orders that they were given?
Yeah, I think that's possible. I don't know. Have we seen Elida actually torturing people? I think that we know that Elida has let people go. Dave, have we seen her specifically going out of her way to make everyone super uncomfortable?
Her who?
Elida. That's who you're talking about.
To make everyone uncomfortable, everyone being who? Sorry, I'm trying to clarify what you're saying.
I mean, have we ever seen her specifically torture another individual?
Well, I mean, she's ordered, floggings and stuff of her subordinates.
That seems like that just goes hand in hand in being in charge.
But she takes it to an extreme. Everyone's kind of walks on eggshells. Notice that there's less and less chairs when girls go in their dreams. There's less and less people in the meetings because she's sent them out to a farm or something. But I don't know that she's gone to this extreme. I mean, this is a whole other realm of.
I had not thought about if those orders came down from above or not. I just assumed that it was just these.
I think it's just these people going rogue. But I could be wrong. I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility, but at the same time, there's just so much that can go wrong with that she seems a little smarter than that, but maybe not. I don't know.
Elida?
Yeah.
I don't get what the benefit of torturing him like that would be.
Well,
you want him to bow to you.
Yeah. They're trying to lower his resistance.
Yeah. I guess it's like having veal. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do get it.
But at the same time,
let's ask this. Is there any way to hide that this is the way if they successfully get him to the tower, is there any way to hide that this is the way he's been treated?
Yes, because no one would have known if it.
How could you hide all of the welts on him?
Because they'd keep him in a cell till he healed up and was submissive, and he was bowed to them, and then they'd show him to the world.
No. We're talking about Elida, not the world.
No, I am talking about Elida's going to show Rand to the world.
No.
You're
how
saying
would you
that
hide from Elida that you had treated him this way?
You'd make up some BS story. Oh, he resisted.
You're just like,
so we had to beat him.
Here.
We had to beat him every day.
Yeah, he was trying to escape every day.
Yeah, he tried to get out. He got out, which he did.
She would question it to a point, so long as it was successful.
Yeah, I can see that. It just seems like we're that thought process is going through a lot of machinations when it just seems part of her MO to just say, you bring him to me and make sure by the time he gets here, that he acquiesces.
Oh, I don't even think he would be at that point by the time he got there. It's going to be a lot longer than that. If she thought he would break in the 2 weeks,
they mentioned that. Well,
that's because they're
more than 2 weeks away from Tar Valon. I mean,
they're only they were that far.
They're only 10 days out from. They're only 10 days out from Cairhien.
I'd have thought Cairhien was closer to Tar Valon than.
Dumais Wells is about, if you look on the map, Dumais Wells is about the halfway point. So it's.
I thought it was I thought it was a 30-day journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe okay. So I said 10 days.
So they're a
15
third of
days,
the way.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the state that Rand is in. Just 10 days. He's in a really bad state. He can barely move.
Yeah, but I think he could hang on because his hatred is so great.
He could barely move even if he wasn't getting whacked all the time because he's inside. He's
crammed in a
half.
box.
Right. Yes, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's awful. How bad is Min getting it?
Not nearly as bad.
No, but
clearly
have the
she's
fortitude
not in a box,
to stand
but
it like
she's
Rand
still getting,
does. Yeah.
She's still getting hurt, right?
Yeah.
So, that's interesting. It's interesting to think about whether or not this was Elida's command. It just seems part and parcel for the way that she operates to me. So I'm willing to accept that this was, that she gave them carte blanche to do whatever they needed to do in order to get him to the point where he was broke to break him. Because she had to know that if she was going to have him under her thumb, that he would have to be broken in order to do that.
Yeah, I mean, she is always looking at that painting, but don't you feel like that Jordan would have brought that up as a writer, that she put these orders down?
No, because it leads to questions like this.
She's not even the head of the Red, though.
No, I'm not sure what impact that has, quite honestly, anyway, whether or not she's the head of the Reds, except for the fact that they could have designs of their own outside of her own plans, but she's still the Amerlin. Like, they're supposed to follow her lead.
Does that matter anymore?
But this all came from this all came from how horrific this final chapter is. I mean, we've had. This is the 6th book now. We've had 6 different book endings.
Yeah, Galena is the highest of the Red.
Okay. So we've had 6 different book endings, and has any of them had created the impression in your mind that this one has? This seems more severe to me than anything else. It feels like we've reached a Rubicon here.
Well, and this is what we were talking about with this being similar to the other book in the fact that there's so much going on, except the other book had. That's the interesting thing is there's so much going on here, and there's no Forsaken that we see involved, except maybe we're suspecting that there's Forsaken pulling the strings to have made this happen. It's crazy that all this is going on, and there's no battle with the Forsaken. I think this is the only book we've come to at this point with no Forsaken being fought in the end, if I'm not mistaken.
And look at what happens here.
Right,
like you have a group of Aes Sedai who have captured Rand. Then you have the Shaido who are coming in to essentially conquer the Aes Sedai. So you've got, tens of thousands of Shaido that are supposed to overwhelm the Aes Sedai and take on and capture Rand. Then you have the Aiel led by Perrin who are coming to Rand's aid, followed by their Aes Sedai, followed by the Ashaman. I mean, this is like the end of the Hobbit, where you have a battle of 7 armies.
I was having a hard time grasping in my head just the sheer number.
It's a lot.
It's hundreds and hundreds of thousands.
It's tens of thousands.
I think it's hundreds of thousands outside there.
Of Shaido.
It's
30,000 Shaido, to be specific.
30,000 Shaido. There you go. That's a lot of people, Adam.
It's a lot of people.
That's 30,000. They think they had roughly 7,000 to 10,000 on Rand's side. So it was 3-1 just from the Aiel. Then there were way more channelers on the part of the bad Aes Sedai. We'll call them the bad Aes Sedai, the Tower Aes Sedai.
Tower 2.
Compared to the
1.
wise ones that came. Because there were a bunch of wise women that could channel, but they didn't have the same strength level or training level, let's say.
Yeah,
so
it's
they were
not hundreds of
outnumbered.
thousands. I was thinking about
Until Rand starts clubbing heads.
Right. Well, no. Actually, when Rand starts clubbing heads, it makes things worse because the perimeter of Aes Sedai breaks down and the Shaido are able to break through.
Yes, but then at least those are humans you can deal with your wise ones who can channel as opposed to being fighting a greater number of,
The only reason it's successful is because the Ashaman just obliterate everything. I don't know how successful
it wouldn't have ended well.
No.
Well, that's all a question of what Rand could do at that point.
That is what I was wondering. I wanted to bring that up earlier when we were talking about the fact that Mazrim Taim came in and quote unquote saved him.
Rand could have spirited a whole bunch of people away and traveled and left. But he's not going to desert his people.
Plan.
Right. I mean, the troops, as it were, would have borne the brunt of things. But I also think Rand could have unleashed, with his new ally, Lews Therin, could have unleashed some serious hell upon the Shaido and the troops himself also.
Yeah, it sort of comes down to like how much of an impact does your physical condition have on your ability to channel?
Probably a great amount.
True.
I would think so. And then in that case, then Rand probably isn't anywhere near full capacity.
No, but he's also driven by an
insane
level of anger, too.
And then he has another human being inside of him.
Right. It's like when you get
inside of you.
When you get infused with
I'm going to sing that effing
adrenaline.
Song.
I can't help it though.
Yeah.
Wait, we've tipped our hat toward Perrin, right? I forget because of.
Well, this isn't Perrin's section. This is Rand's.
Well, we're talking about the last chapter. I just want to say thanks, Perrin.
Right.
For going in there. You just
Perrin doing his job.
Yeah, but
ran in.
Perrin sort of just lays the ground. He buys time for the Ashaman, really. I mean, that's not his intention, but that's what ends up happening. And then the Ashaman come on. When the Ashaman appear, did anybody think, what they're going to do is just make people explode?
I mean, even crazier the fact of that is they've been fighting for a little bit, not doing that. It's like they've been holding back their strongest weapon.
I think they were doing that because Perrin saw it. Remember when Perrin was trying to fight his way into the perimeter and he saw a couple of Ashaman do some awful crap.
Yeah, but I don't think it was that.
I think it was that, except on an individual level versus just waves and waves of it.
I think it was. And Eric, this is honestly the difference. You were asking how it feels different. This is what feels different a lot.
Yeah.
It's the description of this stuff that
just people blowing up.
Yeah.
I thought that they were gonna use fire and just like spray, flamethrow their way through these people. I didn't think that they were just. It sounds so easy. It sounds like they just It sounds like they wave their hands and just rows of people explode.
Oh yeah, I was imagining 20 deep. Yeah.
Can you imagine being in that and just being splattered by guts over and over again? I think the people that were doing it
were probably loving that aspect of it.
Don't think so. Maybe the Ashaman were, but there are only 40 or 50 of or maybe 60 or 70 of those guys. There are hundreds of Aiel that are inside that perimeter just getting splashed.
They would have no idea what's happening. That would be so crazy. All of a sudden, this is just happening.
Well, they hear the command Ashaman kill, and then people start blowing up. I mean, they would have an idea of what was happening.
They're a huge battle. Who knows who heard that?
Is there a more ominous statement in any of these books than Ashaman kill?
Ugh. Is there any happier one to me? I loved it.
I did love it.
I was such a fan of this moment.
That's disgusting.
Yes. No, I did love it.
You loved it? I mean, I
Absolutely.
love that Rand is getting rescued, and I love that the Shaido are getting their comeuppance. I'm not sure I needed this.
Here's why.
And by the way, I would have been all right with flamethrowing. So I'm not saying I'm a better person. It's just people
flamethrowing
exploding
is worse, man. People
it might be
getting caught
worse.
on fire, that's
yes,
worse.
It may be worse, but people just like people exploding and their intestines and their blood flying everywhere.
At least you're not
sounds
hearing
gross.
screams. The people that are getting set
You
on
don't
fire,
know
you're hearing
that.
screams.
You don't know that.
I don't
do,
even
because
care.
I know that their larynxes were blown out.
I think we can all agree that this is a turning point in the history of this story
And the world.
Well,
Absolutely.
Well,
We've never
I don't know if
seen
it's a turning point in the world because they had this before. They had the men who could channel before who were weapons of war.
So that's an interesting question. When we talk about the Age of Legends, the only time that we hear about anything along these lines happening is when all the men went crazy and destroyed the world.
But I'm sure there were men that weren't crazy that were fighting the men that were going crazy because it didn't all just happen at once. Like, I can't imagine every single man all of a sudden at once channel crazy.
No. It's alluded to the fact that the destruction of the world happened over several days.
Oh, it's got to be more than days.
Well, it doesn't feel like it's more than a year. I mean, Theron goes insane and immolates himself in a day and creates Dragonmount.
Yeah, but there are other men that could channel.
There are, but he was the strongest of them. I don't think it lasts more than I literally don't think it lasts more than maybe a couple of months.
I have no idea.
I don't.
I always just assumed it was like a meteor, like a giant meteor hitting the
like
Earth,
the way the dinosaurs die or something. Right? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a major turning point in this story. Rand has an army now.
Yeah, he's got a physical and an army to match the Aes Sedai.
Right, an army, and that's the most important thing, is that Rand has an army to match the Aes Sedai. So the Aes Sedai, and we see it at the end. The Aes Sedai, he's now on equal footing with them, if not, well, right, but he has
right. Sorry,
he has an army that can channel. So he can rival the Aes Sedai. He didn't know he had it until they acted. He didn't know what he had until he saw what he had.
But he had the wise ones. He had some people that could channel before.
That's the last chapter, and then we head into the epilogue, which has the Wheel of Time glyph in it because it's significant to the overall story. So the chapter starts out
very short epilogue.
Falion Sedai receiving a note from a servant dressed in Teresian palace livery, and the note says, "Gone." It seems Falion was sent by Moghedien to find a catch of Angreal and Ibu Dar.
Doesn't that seem like 17 years ago?
Yes.
It sure does.
It was a couple of books ago, and conveniently, we'd certainly forgotten about it because much has occurred since then. But as things go, Jordan has planned this out very well in advance. So here are all of these different elements in Ibu Dar for similar reasons, with the exception of the fact that the Aes Sedai are there because apparently there's some crazy faction of runaways in this area also.
Do you think that that lady that was trying to heal the dead guy is part of that faction?
Well, yes. Okay. That's the only evidence we have of it is the let's call her the wise one for Ibu Dar, or at least for that neighborhood. So while in Ibu Dar, she stumbled on Falion stumbled on Nynaeve in a lane, who she started to tail, but the power wrought disguises the two have been using to exit the palace are fooling her as well as Tom, Julian, and Matt. And then we join Herod Fell, who's been murdered by a golem.
Poor Herod.
A creature that we've heard conversation about, but had never actually physically seen. And apparently it can slip under a door jam.
That's not good.
And it just, again, really gruesome results.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's torn from
He's
limb to
discovered
limb.
by Adrian Tarson. Yeah. torn limb from limb and haphazardly piled.
The food was played with.
Then we join a Shan Chan rider on a hill overlooking Ibu Dar. The rider's been spying as part of preparation for another Shan Chan attack. And this Shan Chan is eager for the Halim, the return, and the appearance of, wait for it,
Who
the
could
daughter
it be?
of 9 moons.
Oh, boy.
So finally,
Look out. Run, Matt. Run.
Yeah, finally, Matt is going to meet the old ball and chain.
He needs to run while he can.
And then we join Moghedien in bed, and into her tent comes Erengar. The
Who could have seen this
we've been
coming?
waiting for since the book began, essentially. And Erengar informs us that Logain has escaped successfully, and tells Moghedien she is to do the same. Moghedien has been, because she's been summoned to Sheol Ghul. And then Moghedien is freed from her Adam. So then we jump to Egwene, who has felt the escape of Moghedien.
That was a little interesting moment there when she was freed, though.
Yeah.
Because she was like, why is this woman getting hurt by touching my item?
This woman and or man or whatever this thing is.
Yeah, which did we... I mean... I guess we've never had any instance of a male channeler touching an Adam before.
Nope.
So
No.
This whole thing of it causing them pain is new to us. It's a new revelation, I suppose.
No, I think we had heard about it before, but it was never shown.
I had no recollection of it. That doesn't mean we haven't heard of it before. So then again, Egwene senses the escape of Moghedien, and the sensation that means that Saidin has touched the Adam.
So she thinks it's a dude.
Which we have no idea when she learned that that's a thing. But this is the whole complication of Erengar, right?
I don't know what's going on with this person.
Well, it gives us the idea that the fact that Erengar is basically a woman only in biology, that like Erengar's soul is still male, which we discussed at the outset of these books in the first place, and we've noticed, I mean, from time to time that Erengar is channeling Saidin. So it's really interesting that Shaitan has the ability to reincarnate these characters, but apparently their souls still maintain their gender? Or did Shaitan just decide to make this choice in this specific instance?
Well, there's 2 of them, right?
I have no idea. Yeah, there are 2
Well,
of them.
but this is the only one we've seen channel.
Well, there's Erengar and Osengar, but I mean,
we understand there's 2 of them, but I'm talking about specifically with gender and the reincarnation of these characters.
yeah, I think he's just sticking a male soul, if you will, inside a female body.
But it doesn't right. But you would have thought that it would have changed the gender of the soul as well.
Apparently not.
Like souls maintain
Maybe the soul
their
carries-
original gender in this world?
Or
soul
not.
makes
Let's not
body.
say gender, but the soul carries the power
Well,
channeling capability.
That's what it seems like.
which is tied to gender.
Yeah. Well, fact of the matter is, it didn't. It stuck with the original form, and it's just stuck in a female body.
It's stuck with the original gender.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tied to its original gender.
Yeah, and now we're
Whenever that
in
started,
a female body.
which is kind of funny to think about in a cyclical world that there's an original gender. When the whole
I mean, this is all, unless this has happened before that we don't know about. This is all something new.
It is all new, and
It's new to us, at least.
yes,
And the only people that would be able to notice this are very few people.
Right? Yeah.
oh, it would only be the Forsaken. I mean,
Well,
they would
or
be the
male
only one.
channelers.
Or female
Explain-
channelers that
I'm
have
not
learned how to
understanding.
see
Well,
these
I mean,
male
if an
channelers.
Ashaman were around one of these people, they would know because they'd sense Sidene being channeled.
Okay,
even if it's a woman,
sure.
you'd still sense
Yeah.
the male power being
Right.
channeled. You'd be caught completely unaware, though, because you'd see the female and you'd be like, what's happening? And then you'd probably be dead. But,
Right, yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
But-
and Aaron Gar is fairly discreet.
yeah. Now, if there are a bunch of men that could channel, though, and that, maybe she wouldn't get them all.
So we'll have to, it'll be interesting to sort of witness the gender power relationship moving forward and to see if there are any other instances of this or any other references to creatures who appeared one way and yet yielded a power that was somehow different than their gender. Because that would cause massive confusion. You'd be completely flummoxed and totally, like to your point, Dave, totally unprepared for this. And Jordan, and we've gotten a couple of fleeting references to this leading up to this point, that this woman is channeling a power that is completely antithetical to her gender. And then finally, we're with Demandred in the Pit of Doom, which is where this whole story began. And he asks if he has done well, and Shaitan laughs. So the book ends with the poem, "The unstained tower breaks and bends knee to the forgotten sign," which I'm assuming is the ancient sign of the Aes Sedai. And the unstained tower. What tower is unstained at this point? Isn't
the Black Tower?
That's the only one I could think of. But what would an ancient poem be doing referencing the Black Tower?
Nothing.
Yeah.
And the
who knows?
Tar Valon is certainly stained at this point, isn't it? I mean, it's fractured, so I don't know what that's a reference to. The seas rage and storm clouds gather unseen. Sure, that's always happening in this world. Beyond the horizon, hidden fires swell and serpents nestle in the bosom. Is that a reference to the Shan-Chan?
Would imagine.
What was exalted is cast down. What was cast down is raised up. Order burns to clear this path. That's chaos. And that's from the
what was
prophecies
exalted
of the
was
dragon.
cast down. That's the tower.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yet somehow there's another tower out there that's unstained.
I mean, are they saying the second
We got
tower
3
is
towers
pure
right
still
now.
somehow?
There are a bunch of towers. Just towers everywhere. Towers
Yeah,
everywhere.
are they saying that
There's
like
also the Tower of
Saladar was-
Genji, but that's another one.
Oh, maybe that's it. It's the Tower of Genji that's unstained. No, I don't think.
Oh,
I don't think
wow.
this is.
It's unstained because it's all a stain.
So is Demandred the Lord of Chaos? Isn't that what this is insinuating here?
I think so. I think he's been pulling the strings. I think he's the one that gave that box to the Shido. I think he's...
But the funny thing is, like, the box to the Shido doesn't mean crap. It didn't.
Well, it didn't
do
quite go...
anything.
It didn't quite... Well, at the end,
Savannah
it set
still
some
has
things
it.
in motion. It may not have gone exactly the way that Demandred thought it was going to go, but it did put
Savannah in motion.
right. It
yes.
put the Shido and Savannah in touch with the Aes Sedai. Now, and then they end up killing one of their own. So now that's going to put this the Shido, and it did. It put the Shido why the Shido attacked the Aes Sedai at the end, but that box is still there.
So what we gather from this. So
I think he's the one. I don't know for
remember,
sure.
I've been forecasting since this story began that Rand was going to rally his whole plot with Matt against not Demandred. Samael, thank you, Adam. In
Where did
Iliad,
that go?
right?
Died.
Right? I've been forecasting that as the end of this book.
That's a
Oddly enough, this had nothing to do with Samael and the Golden Bees.
The bees.
Long may they reign. This was all Demandred, who has emerged from
wherever.
nowhere. I mean, we've seen him in conversation in the middle of the change pocket of the dream world,
popping up in the big circles.
But now he's emerged. I mean, to my mind, he's emerged as, other than Moghedian, who seems to think she has great designs on being nameless. Like, he's emerged as like the dude, right? Doesn't he? Doesn't
or
he?
the
Doesn't
Dark
he
One was
emerge
laughing
from
like,
this,
"No, man,
you're screwed.
up."
You don't even know.
Yeah.
You think you're just being funny now? Where do we think,
I don't.
Where do
it
we think
seems like,
Demandred
obviously, it
stands
seems
here
like
at this point?
Clearly, he's the one that was. But where was he? Where did he pop out of and then go and?
We don't know. We have no idea where he is.
So crazy.
All we know is he appears in the dream world and he talks to Shaitan and he makes stuff happen.
But does he have the ability?
Like, a lot of stuff, by the way.
Does he have the ability, like the girls, to cloak himself? Then
sure. Why wouldn't any of the Forsaken have
whatever.
that? Yeah, I'm sure they all have the ability to use.
Yeah, they all have that disguise. I would
They
imagine.
What
have
if
the
he's
ability,
what if
anything
he's
you
the
can
guy
imagine
that-
with the power they can do?
what if he's the guy that's with Lord? That's like, my lord.
He could be anywhere. He could be.
I've put
Mazrim
your clothes on, my
Taim.
lord.
What do you think he's Mazrim Taim? What if he's Mazrim Taim?
No, I think he's. Is that
think
Matt's dude?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's like, my lord, I've made all your soup.
You think that he is a shirt maker?
Who's that guy?
You
What's
think
his
he's-
name?
That's it.
He's
You think he's a body man? That's your conclusion from this, that the most powerful person in this story is disguising himself.
Would be a very good move. All I'm saying.
That'd be amazing.
It would be an incredible move.
But what about my proposition that he's Mazrim Taim?
Mazrim, how long have we been with Mazrim for?
A book. This one.
I don't think Demandred would have
long
allowed
have
himself
we-
to get captured by the Aes Sedai. There's no way.
Well, what if he didn't allow himself to get
Is that his
captured
name?
by
Ulver?
But
the Aes Sedai?
they were.
That's the little boy.
He was.
He was.
Ulver, Dave. Isn't that
Sure.
his name?
I mean,
No.
Weren't
You're talking about
the Forsaken were defeated
That's who
at
I'm
a certain
talking about,
point.
Dave.
No. I'm talking about recently when
You're
Tyene
talking
got
Adam. Ulver is not Matt's body man.
No, Adam's trying to remember what Matt's body man's name is,
Yes.
and it's
What
not
was
Ulver.
Ulver?
Ulver's the child. It's whatever.
It's like Flump the Flupin.
Nerimer.
All right.
Either way, that's not the question I posed.
And my answer is no.
No, what? No,
it's
he's not
definitely-
Mazrim
He's
Taim.
definitely not Mazrim Taim.
Because
There's no way he would have lost to a bunch of Aes Sedai trying to capture him years back.
13?
No. Not with today's Aes Sedai. No, I don't think so.
13 of them?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, he certainly wouldn't lose to 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 or 4 or
And
5.
Why
but
do we even know there were
13?
13?
Because why wouldn't there have been?
What?
They know that that's the number that is required to collar a man. So why wouldn't that be the number?
Just depends on how many there were. And I'm
Well,
sure he would have killed
wouldn't-
some too.
Of course, sure. So
then there wouldn't be 13.
There probably would have been more than 13. They wouldn't have sent out the exact number with the idea that none of them could possibly be killed in the confrontation.
And not only that, Rand, I think Rand would have detected him being stronger than he was too.
What other
Because
move
he's
would
supposed
be
to
the
be
one
on
that would
par
be
with
so,
Rand.
What other move would be the move that's so strong, though? That does make sense that he'd be like, "Are you pleased, my lord?" Because that would be the strongest move is creating this army of men that can channel.
I think he's off doing other things.
Let me ask you
I
another.
do too.
Wouldn't becoming Mazrim, and what if this isn't even the original Mazrim Taim?
That is a good point.
Or what if
Could
it
be
is?
a different one. It'd be a good move.
that wasn't
That'd
the
be a very
question.
strong
No, but
move.
that's the rebuttal to your question. What if it is?
Another question?
No, it's
so
not
it's
a question, it's a
50-50%?
statement. What if
So
it
it's a-
is?
That's a question. That's an
Okay,
interrogative.
I'll just say it is.
It is Mazrim Taim.
Yeah, I think it's the same Mazrim Taim as it's always been.
Okay.
He's carried the same characteristics and traits from what we know. Unless Jordan's thrown us the ultimate curveball with no basis of fact for us to have any suspicions. Normally, whenever Jordan does something, you see suspicious behavior to lead you to something. But his character has been the same from everything that we know.
Okay.
And why would Demandred come and save Rand then?
Well,
I want to hear this.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I mean, but we didn't we all suspect that Taim has had alternative motivations. So why
just
does
because
he save
Taim
Rand?
is evil doesn't mean he's Demandred.
Well, but the question is the same in either regard. Is why yes, it is. Why did he save Rand? We don't know. It seems very, very odd for somebody that we've suspected as being interested in Rand's demise.
Well, also, I mean, he could have his voice in his ear also.
Well, you just used a bunch of pronouns, so I'm not
sure.
No,
like Demandred could be talking to Mazrim Taim as a separate person.
Sure.
And influencing that character on his own.
Yes. Taim could be a dark friend, getting orders from somebody else.
If Taim could be a dark friend, I mean, why can't he be Demandred?
I think for all of Demandred's ego, which we know he's to be incredibly egotistical, I don't think he would stoop that low. I don't think he would come in and rescue Rand.
Taim resist any sort of subservience at every turn.
I don't think Demandred would come in and rescue Rand at all. I don't think he would do it.
Unless, but isn't this book full of twists and turns that are inexplicable?
I mean, you can keep arguing this, and I'm just going to keep making the same standpoints. Once again, you're just trying to prove that you're right. I feel like
no,
and it's not.
I am merely interjecting the confusion that this book is rife with.
I am confused about the fact. I did think it was going to be Rand that was the Lord of Chaos, and it doesn't seem like he is. And it is confusing now to think of what Demandred would be doing that would create so much chaos.
I mean, I think he's just been pulling strings left and right. And if he's pulling strings left and right and not being the central figure to be shown, to me, that shows that he would be pulling strings with someone like Taim rather than being Taim. Because that's not pulling strings. That is being a string.
Or he's somehow involved in Tower 1.
Or he's pulling the strings of people behind Tower 1.
We haven't seen anybody doing anything in Tower 1.
Well, we already know What's-Her-Face is in Tower 1.
Right.
Or he has like hands
no, not Moghedien.
Araja.
Moghedien's whoever that is.
Katrina.
Masana?
Somebody's in Tower 1.
Yeah, right. It's one of those female
one
Forsaken.
Of the women.
And not one of the women that's actually a man.
All I'm saying is what this book has demonstrated is that even instances of even when it seems like the light has won,
I don't think
that seems to be part of the Dark One's plot. So it would be a curveball along those lines for Demandred to go in and rescue Rand for the purposes of some sort of sleeper cell activity farther down the road. Let's move on to Coplin of the Week. So,
alrighty,
Adam, who was your Coplin of the Week?
Mine was Varen, because I don't know what is going on with her behind her vacant smiles and just her idea that anybody makes a statement and she's just smiling to herself like she knows better than what that person said. I don't get her moves. I have always been pro Varen, but
she is constantly portrayed as having a look that she knows something that nobody else in the room knows, correct?
Maybe she does.
100%.
She always knows more than anyone else in the room.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like some people want to be the smartest people in the room, and some people are the smartest people in the room.
Yeah, what if Demandred is Varen?
Right, well,
just throwing that out there.
He's pulling an Erengar Osengar thing.
Sure.
Yeah. Has anyone been around her when she's channeled to know if it's female or male?
Except that we've
females.
Varen has been involved since book 2.
No, I know it's not.
And we've only had references to Demandred we've only seen Demandred in person in this book.
Right, because he's been Varen the whole time.
Yes, that would be very strange.
Right, because he's been Varen the whole time.
A dude as a female.
Dude looks like a lady.
No, I don't it's mostly because I felt like I trusted her for so long, and now it just doesn't.
I told you not to.
I feel like I trust her, but I feel like there's something going on there. Clearly, there's
what do you think's going on?
I don't know. That's the thing.
I'm giving her a little room for maybe improvement to prove herself that hey, I know something that other people don't know, and I'm actually going to come out on the good side. But it just seems she's
pulling
suspicious.
strings for a reason. I don't know what that reason is, but the reason seems to be working out so far.
Could it just be an Aes Sedai reason because that's what they do?
I mean, it could be, but she seems to be showing up in all the right places at all the right times.
Yeah.
Adam, do you want to know who your Coplin of the book was? The person that you named as your Coplin of the week most frequently?
Oh, I do. Wait, hold on. Can I take a guess?
You certainly can.
Mm.
But you can't take too much time doing it.
I would say Mogedion. I don't know.
Mogedion. It's not. It's our protagonist.
It's Rand?
Rand.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
You hate Rand. Congratulations.
All right.
No, I get annoyed with Rand.
Rand gives you reasons.
No, you hate
I don't
Rand.
hate Rand.
I'm going to frame this. You hate Rand. You don't have a choice. Why do you hate Rand, Adam?
I can hate Rand. I'm fine with that because he can't get
Rand
any
hater.
of his relationships going.
You're not Randy. You are anti-Randy.
Randy because
I all of a sudden
he has
support
these 3 gals and he can't get one of them figured out.
The man's been buried inside a chest for 10 days, and you still hate him.
Oh, that's just recently.
You're a terrible person.
Rand hater.
He
that's
deserved
just
it.
recently.
He got what was coming.
He's paid for all of his sins now after being shut up in a chest for 10 days. You've forgiven him now?
Nope.
He's suffered. Oh, he hasn't suffered
clearly.
enough for you?
No, he's still.
You wish he was tortured longer? Is that it?
Actually, my Coplin of the book should just be
you don't
Faiel and her family.
No, your Coplin of the book was Rand.
Yes,
it's been decided.
It's been decided.
I'm fine
You
with that.
chose, and you chose poorly.
No, I didn't.
My Coplin of the week was Savannah. Remember her?
Oh, she's annoying.
She's the woman who led a whole bunch of
murders her own kind.
Bunch of what are they called again?
Man.
Who are those people?
She was really hoping to have Rand as a hubby.
Right.
Well, yeah.
An imprisoned hubby.
Well,
Yeah.
right. Well, a collared one. She wanted to put a collar around his neck, so I'm not sure how hubbubby that is, but
I mean, it depends. If you're into it, then
yeah,
it
right.
could be a good time.
Permanently. If you're into a permanent S&M solution where you're just S all the time, 24 hours a day with a collar around your neck.
I'll tell you this much. That's
There
going to
you
make
go.
someone happy.
I don't think it'll make Rand happy. I don't think that's Rand's idea of a relationship.
Definitely not. She's barking up the wrong tree.
I never. By the way, she's just the worst. So if you had to choose between her and Elida, if you had to choose between her and Elida, who would you say is worse?
Her.
Savannah and Elida. Ooh.
You think Savannah is worse than Elida? Because at least Elida obeys some of the taboos.
She does.
Savannah obeys none. She is willing to break every rule in her own self-interest. You're fired.
She does have she has a whole lot more people following her though, so good for her, I suppose.
We're not rooting for we're not talking about good for her. We're talking about who's the worst person. You can kick ass and be a terrible human being.
Yeah, no, I mean I think that she just completely distanced herself from all of her beliefs that she had growing up. And
honestly, I'm more upset about all of the people around her who still obey all of the protocols that they have in place while this fox is in the hen house just eating all the other hens. And they're still thinking that that's another hen amongst them.
An attractive hen, I might add.
Well, she'll make sure you know that.
I just want to say that it's fine to distance yourself from what you grew up with. Sometimes what you grew up with was wrong.
Right.
That was a bad example.
I'm actually more upset about the other Aiel who don't recognize that this woman is not one of them and yet still treat her that way. But I
think he does a good job setting that up though, why they would follow her.
Well, they are. I mean, they are sticking to the conventions, and I understand that, but I also recognize that, like, they're being foolish. It's just and they're being taken advantage of because of it, because she knows that they will continue to obey those conventions. So I didn't repeat anybody. So I have the opportunity to choose who my Coplin of the book was, and I choose Mazrim Taim, who I think is the Mandrid.
Oh, okay.
There you
go. Dave, who's your Coplin of the week?
There's no question. It's Fail.
It's Fail.
She's so annoying.
I get it.
She's so annoying. She won't tell Perrin what to expect, what to wander into.
She does expect Perrin to read her mind and understand her culture,
and read her parents' minds. And
what do you think it is?
Doesn't forewarn Perrin that her dad's going to come in and be like,
she hasn't given Perrin the manual.
I think she has, actually.
You think what? Really?
I do.
Yeah, I think
it's pretty clear what's going on here. I could be wrong.
It's clear to us because Jordan is giving us a bunch of extra information that Perrin doesn't have. Perrin has no information. She expects him to operate in her cultural modality. He doesn't understand her culture at all. It's totally antithetical to the way he was raised.
Yeah, she's just kind of like, well, you should know this.
You should understand that men and women are supposed to be contested, and that the woman expects the man to take the firmer hand while at the same time acquiescing to the woman or making her feel that she's being acquiesced to in this delicate balance.
And my mom's going to slap my face, and you should be fine with it.
Do you think that this relationship is going to last? Do you think that there is someone else that's going to end up being with Perrin?
No, because Perrin's not that type of guy.
Isn't there prophecy about someone else being involved with there being another bird?
There's another bird, but the bird doesn't kill the other one. He has two birds on his shoulders. No, they're both there. That's just an argument.
I mean,
which we've clearly seen. There is an argument between these two birds.
No one. But
I'm not going to refer to women as birds at all moving forward.
Well, Eric, that's because the bird is the word.
The birds have a lot of words. So no, Adam, I do not see Perrin divorcing Fail for Barrelane or anybody else.
No, but I do think I
not
think
Barrelane. Barrelane's going to end up with Galad.
Well, I think maybe we've hit on the fact those are the two birds, though.
Yeah, for sure. We know that. Yeah. The Raven and the Falcon and the Hawk. And if I could differentiate between a falcon and a hawk at sight, I would be a different human being.
I am not a birdologist, or whatever that's called.
Ornithologist.
I can.
Ornithologist, yeah.
I like birdologists, though. That's people who follow Charlie Parker.
I can differentiate between the two, but
no. Well, Dave, you're Coplin for the book.
Yeah.
Not even Egwene.
Aside?
Yep.
Oh. Okay.
You don't like women.
I get that. I get why both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised Egwene is on there. Huh.
Yeah, I know, because this is the book of Egwene.
I like my Egwene. I don't know what's going on.
I know. She just had a couple of bad weeks for you. Who leveled up, Dave?
Who leveled up indeed? Well, I'll tell you. I'm going with a obscure and slightly odd pick. I'm going with the Wolves.
Yes!
The Wolves.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned this because we didn't talk about them at all in Dumai's Wells.
No, they were like the 5th or 6th army.
Yes, they're right. They were the Eagles coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool.
That's another reference.
Another Tolkien reference.
The Hobbit.
Yes.
A battle of 4.
Battle of 5 armies.
5 I swear it's
It is
4.
5.
I'm sure
the
you're
movie
right. I'm sure
itself
you're
is
right.
called
Yes,
The
yes.
Battle of Five Armies.
Yes, I'm sure you're right. Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to.
Who are the
bring
5
them up.
armies? It's the Eagles, the Orcs,
The Eagles, the orcs,
Hobbits,
Elves.
not the
elves,
hobbits, the Eagles,
the
the
ta-
orcs,
the
the
townspeople.
dwarves,
the dwarves.
and the people,
Townspeople.
the men of Rivendell.
No,
Not-
there are no men in Rivendell. The men of
Lakeland,
Yes,
or whatever
okay.
it's called.
It's
Laketown.
Laketown.
Laketown, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the wolves. They don't even question. They just automatically.
they're great. Like, is there
Parents like, hey, what's his name to the wolves?
Young Bull,
Running
No,
Bull.
not Perrin's
Yeah,
name.
Run Bull.
Rand's name.
Shadow Killer?
Shadow
Shadow
Killer's in
Killer.
danger, and they're only an instant response is we come.
Well, they're loyal as dogs.
So cool.
Yeah, they're incredibly loyal.
But they're loyal to someone they've never interacted with.
But something they value. I mean, yes, no, they've never to say that they've never interacted. I mean, it's part of their mythology, so they've interacted with the mythology. It means something to them. It's part of their culture. It just hasn't materialized until now, and so it materializes now, and they act on the import of it.
And they show up and they kick all sorts of booty. It's sad to see.
How many
numbers
of them
too,
are
though.
left now?
Right.
Do you think Elias heard of this?
That's a good question. Where is Elias? I don't know.
I have no idea.
If Elias did hear of it, what then?
Should have been there.
He should have been there. That would have made the story better.
How many of these wolves have died now? Like, what is the wolf population like at this point?
He's kind of the parents kind of decimated the population.
Yeah, is it like down by a third? A quarter? There's a lot of
I don't
wolves
know
here,
when
right?
in the Two Rivers, I feel like a bunch of them were knocked off. So
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Perrin's not using these groups; they're volunteering themselves. So it's not a matter of a population being abused, but there are a lot less
they're
wolves
also
on
getting-
Westland now than there in the Westlands now than there were before.
I think so.
Yeah,
It's sad.
it is sad.
It is sad.
It is sad. I mean, it's noble.
But they're BA. So great.
They are.
Love those wolves.
Yeah, and that's why they leveled
Yeah.
up for me.
That makes me so happy. That's what you chose.
I wish I could play them in this video game for sure. They
Right.
would be
if
fun.
if that could be
characters to
your
play.
character, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, or to be
but-
able to play like a group of them.
Adam who's
Simultaneously.
Perrin who turns into a wolf. That's like his leveled up power.
There's a video game for this?
No, but we should have
Oh.
one.
Wow.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
There is a board. There is a
I'm sure
role
there's
playing
a-
game.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So you could do that. Dave, your who leveled up for the book? Any guesses?
Not a clue.
It's the same two people.
Again, it's not even.
I was going to
a-
say
It's
Egwene for
not
him.
even a goal.
That's funny.
I was going to
So
say
kudos to you.
I'm consistent. Like I said.
Nynaeve?
Nynaeve,
Oh,
yeah.
Nynaeve had some serious leveling up this book.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Nynaeve becomes a
I
far
love
more
seeing
likable
Dave's
character.
Leveling up of Nynaeve, though.
I know.
I know.
Well, I
It's
love
because
seeing
all of a
your
sudden I start
leveling up
liking
of
her.
Nynaeve. I love, you've hated Nynaeve throughout
Forever.
these books also,
Yeah.
as have I.
Yeah,
Yep.
and Egwene
She's
becomes
been
the Amerlin,
incredibly
so
disagreeable.
you can't be more leveled up than becoming the Amerlin.
No.
Remember when he had that for like 3 chapters with Fael?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Well, Fael and Nynaeve are on very similar trajectories.
they were until all of a sudden
They were.
Fael started
And
becoming annoying
I
again.
feel like Nynaeve could fall back into that at any moment.
She certainly could.
it's
certainly
there
hope she
waiting
doesn't.
for her, as do we all.
I mean, maybe if she gets her powers readily available to her.
Adam, who do you think leveled up for me?
For you the most?
No.
Mm.
Just for
Oh,
these-
this week.
This week, yeah.
I would.
It's
I think
Rand.
I think it
Yeah,
would be
there
Rand.
you go. It's Rand. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
that's who I was gonna.
Rand suffers away in that chest, and then emerges and what severs 2 Aes Sedai, 3, and then picks off several others by clubbing them off their horses with air.
Does Rand do it, or does Luce Theron do it?
I think it's Rand.
Aren't they? I mean,
I think Luce Theron's in the background.
You parse
gibbering.
those two out. I don't know who's who anymore. They're the same dude.
That's why that was the thing, is like that not to tip my hat, but I was wondering if Luce Theron should level up because he helped him out.
You tip your hand in cards. You tip your hat to a woman.
Yeah, I don't want to tip my hat to the ladies.
No.
I don't want to do that.
Who leveled up for me for this book? Was Egwene. I didn't have any repeats. I'm choosing Egwene. She's the Amerlin seat. She went from being a pain in the butt
to being a bigger pain in the butt.
Accepted to being the Amerlin. So that's has anybody else made a larger leap in prestige than that?
Rand?
Yeah.
No. No, Rand has been demoted. He's been captured and shoved in a box.
Who the heck is how does the tower have any prestige at this point?
Well, that's a fair point. Yes, we'll see what the people think about the tower after what happens at Dumais Wells gets out. Well,
these people,
the common folk are. I don't know that they're differentiating between Tower 1 and Tower 2. I don't even know if the common people know about Tower 2.
Well, if they didn't, they will now. Because that's that rumor that's going to get out.
There's so much. Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see, because I mean, there were so many people on Rand's side that one could see the fact that there were a couple of Aes Sedai grouped in. They're just totally elided over or ignored, not elided over, elided over. So that was the one I chose, was Egwene. I think she was a big level up for the book. I could have chosen Demandred. Would have been a better choice for me, actually, but I didn't. I chose Egwene. Who leveled up for you, Dave? Or Adam?
No.
Dave,
me.
Adam?
I already went.
Steve, Mike, Jones? Adam.
Mazrim Taim leveled up for me this week.
Who? Mazrim Taim? Who's that?
Taim.
Yeah. Apparently, according to you, it's Demandre.
Yeah. I don't know. It could be a Forsaken, apparently.
Right, yeah. The head of the Ashaman. The dude who
abides.
Didn't exist. Rand would be dead? Or no, Rand would be still on his way to Tar-Valon.
We think.
But
he
might be captured by Savannah. That's probably what would have happened.
He might have escaped himself, but Perrin would probably, because he can channel a gateway.
No, he would have been in that box still, dude.
He was in that box.
Escaped, right? He busted out.
He busted out before those guys were there.
He was in a bad way, though.
Yeah, I think Perrin and a bunch of his friends would have died, though, if he didn't come in.
Yes, I think they would have died, and I think that the Aes Sedai would have been overwhelmed by the Shaido, and I think Rand would have been captured. I think a lot of Shaido would have died.
Would have gotten out.
Okay, I think a lot of Shaido would have died, but they would have captured him eventually. What do you think,
it would have
Adam?
been catastrophic to Rand.
Catastrophic.
Without your level, who leveled up? What do you think would have happened here?
I think Rand would have gotten away. I don't
Why?
know.
You think he would have gotten away from
because I don't
the
know.
Shaido?
I don't know. I don't know if Rand could have separated himself from watching his friends perish.
I can guarantee you he would have made a business decision at a certain point, but that would have probably been after they died.
Well,
so I guess you're right. He always has the opportunity to create a gateway and walk out. So it's
he could definitely have gotten out because he wasn't even noticed.
No one
even noticed he was there.
Okay, I'm sorry I detoured us. Your who leveled up was Mazrim Taim, who is the hero of this book. He's the hero of this book.
Oh boy, that's a statement.
Is it not true?
I thought Egwene was the hero of this book. No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
yeah,
that's a good argument.
I would say Perrin over Mazrim Taim.
Okay, I could see that, but would we say it's not a troika? Those three then? Rand, Rand's always in there, but
the other ones you can trust. You can't trust Taim.
Oh well, no.
How can you have a hero that you can't trust?
We're just talking about like somebody whose power.
You can't trust Egwene? Did you just say that out loud?
I understand that. But that's not what we're talking about.
Is she Demandred in disguise now too?
We're not talking about her. We're talking about Taim.
I'm sorry.
And his import in this book. Is Taim up there for one of the most important people in this book?
That's different than being a hero.
Okay, well, I'm rephrasing it.
Okay, then yes. If you're rephrasing as most important, sure.
One of them, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is frightening.
Does this Rand? It's possible that Rand escapes without Mazrim Taim, but like you stated a second ago, there's no way that Rand escapes with his friends without him.
No, not whatsoever. No.
Yeah, no.
So the outcome of this book is Taim is pivotal in.
Yeah, and not only that, he not just losing his friends, but he've lost so many of the Aiel that were supporters. I mean, all those important ones that we know of.
Yes, his control of this world would have to be completely reconsidered by him.
Yeah.
And he would have to reconsider how he was going to bring it together.
Would have been devastating.
He would have been starting from ground zero again. Any guesses, Adam, as to who who leveled up for the book was?
Egwene?
Yes! Good job. Good guess.
Yeah, there we go.
Sound logic. And there's one more.
I have a second one?
Yes. Tied with Egwene would be
Matt?
Nope.
I don't think he would have. No,
Mazrim Taim, because you chose him this week, so it's twice for Mazrim Taim and twice for Egwene. You like dark friends, Adam.
He's a dark friend.
Well, I do like.
You're dark friend adjacent.
I always loved the Cobra better than the G.I. Joe.
You're Cobra Kai.
No,
he was Team
Cobra
Crimson
Kai.
Guard.
So that wraps up episode 10. Join us for season 2, episode 11, when we start our new book, Crown of Swords. Woohoo!
On to it. Seems like forever.
We'll begin with the prologue and work our way through chapter 6. Until then, may you rest in the Creator's hand.
Mm-hmm. May you know good hunting, young bull, and she's to give you many cubs.
Tovias again.